Is it not working? It is public. Boy, I sure love making content. Okay, there we go. Cool. So, seems like everything's working. So yeah, this works very simply. There are instructions. If you follow the instructions, your timings will show up in the stream unless so many people follow the instructions at the same time that I get overwhelmed. But considering people's inability to read or think, I don't think that's very likely. Unless I screwed up on putting links in the description or something. So, yeah, I don't have anything prepared. So like if people don't post timings, we're just gonna kind of sit here, I guess. You can ask random questions while we wait for, I guess, submissions to show up. I've had people literally post freaking XMP profiles in the past to the reacting to RAM timings thing. So like, what? There's a Zen. Oh, great. Well, I can read, but I can't write. Did you hear about Deepcool? Oh, yeah. Plan on doing board reviews. The PCB breakdowns are not motherboard reviews, but in terms of doing PCB breakdowns, maybe. Or, well, like, there's no... The thing is, the channel doesn't really have, like, oh, a plan of, like, oh, I'm gonna be doing this next. It's like... Yeah, so... It's not like I've lost interest in old junk. But let's just say I've never really been that interested in making videos. As you can probably tell from the, what was it, like the content outage of the last, like, week-ish? Oh no, it's like 2 weeks almost at this point. Because OBS decided to, like, forget my input devices, and that was just like, well, I guess we're not making videos. Like, I fixed it the same day, but, like, after that it was like, well, I hate making videos. You get any new hardware? I have another GTX 970. And also, I finally got my hands on an HD6 950. And I found a really cheap GTX 560 Ti 448. So, Crucial Memory are still a good buy. As far as I know, Micron DDR5 is still worse than Hynix. So, if your priority is performance, you still want to get Hynix. Especially since Hynix is still, like, cheap. Oh, we have the first person to figure out how to follow the instructions. Let's see. Let's see if my great idea worked. Should have probably. Are you fucking kidding me? What? Okay, I guess this. Okay, at least it's not the like list view of hardware info, which is actually just a pain. So what do we have here? We have. Okay, well the TREFI tells me it's Intel, and we're like. See, the thing about memtweakit is it like tells us what motherboard you're on, but like. So cool. Wait, what's going on with the memory ratio? Is this 7600? Oh, I guess at 32, yeah, that makes sense, because 32 at 8000 usually requires insanity voltages. Also, I guess 8000 probably didn't work, did it? 14900K with Z790 Apex. Okay, wait, so we have two people now. Okay, this is a bit of a problem, especially since I need to check the links like ahead of time. But yeah, I don't see anything wrong with this. Like CL32 at 7600, I'm guessing you're at like 1.5 something for VDD. Also, I guess maybe I should have done that. Yes, that's probably a good idea. So go away, Microsoft. Anyway, TRDSG looks good. Wait, WR. Okay, you're just running 16.8. This actually looks like basically auto timings for the Apex. Wait, WRDGSG. Okay, those are a bit tighter. These are kind of loose, your read to write for 7600, but it like, when I say kind of loose, like you could probably run them at 20 or maybe even 18, but it's not like it makes a huge difference to performance. This is 24 gig, TRFC per bank. That should go, yeah, that should go way lower. And it does actually help performance a little bit. Like you should be able to run that in, I want to say below 400, but I might be wrong about that. But that like if you want to, fiddle with something like this, I would try lower that. I'd try to lower the read to write timings by 2. That should work. Relatively risk-free. Yeah, I don't see anything. Oh, if you want to cast write latency can often go pretty low. I'm surprised it doesn't read out TRCDWR. But yeah, looks good. Like honestly, I probably wouldn't bother changing it. Like if this is working and stable, then I don't like I probably wouldn't bother changing anything about this. But yeah, this is 7600, which is like yeah, if you don't want to struggle, then like with the memory controller, I guess that's sort of the best way to go about it, even if you are on the Apex. Okay, this I did not think this through. There are way too many people submitting. Hell, okay. I need to, okay, this did not, okay, people slow down. I am, okay, so, damn. So, I did lulls timings. We're just gonna go in order. Which, oh, no, okay, so this is next. We have a Ryzen setup. DDR4 Ryzen setup. And it's generic B-die time. Why doesn't it zoom in? Okay, this is... Can I zoom? Okay, we can do it the hard way. Yep, generic B-die timings. Oh, it's a lot of B-die. Okay, so that actually changes things. Because, yeah, if like 3600, 1415, if this was 32 gigs, I'd be like, this is freaking lame. But Doing that on a 64 gig setup, that's actually pretty impressive. Yeah, so we've got a Strix X570E gaming. Am I surprised? I'm not sure. My experience, the thing is, I don't actually I've not tried to do 4x16, but my experience with even like 4x8 on Asus boards wasn't great, though it did still do 3800. So I guess there isn't like too much of a penalty going all the way to like 4x16. Yeah, TCL. Okay, so the primaries are pretty generic BDI. Your TRC's like weirdly loose, in my opinion. Like that could, that could definitely be lower. TRDL at 7, it doesn't really matter that much. Why is your T-fault, like, okay, you can set your T-fault to 12, but it doesn't actually do anything, but cool, whatever. WTRS 4, WTRL 14, this should be able to go lower. You should be able to run that at like 8. TWR, this is auto, I'm guessing, because usually on BDI you can run it at like 10. You did tune your TRFC, which is still kind of loose, but then I guess with this much RAM, the heat might be a bit of an issue, but yeah, no, that's honestly kind of loose. I don't know. Like, also that's kind of a random number, but I don't care about that as much as the fact that it's like over 300. TRDSCL at 3, WR 3. Okay, so those are good. RTP at 10, cool. These are fine. Your same dim, different dim timings. Yeah, I don't think they go any lower, do they? It's been a while since I messed with dual rank. Or these might be on auto. Because, like, I don't, like, the thing is, I don't remember if, like, 4466 would work for these. Then again, I'm also not sure if on a, like, if a 4x32 setup, or, like, 4x8 or a 2x16 setup behaves significantly differently for these from a 64 gig setup. It probably shouldn't. In terms of voltages, SoC voltage is reasonable, VDDP reasonable. Your VDDGs are a bit high for just 1800 FCLK, but it doesn't hurt anything, so cool, whatever. Yeah, honestly, like, getting like 3600 to work on 64 gigs of VDI is honestly kind of impressive. So, even if like the timings here aren't exactly, yeah, I wouldn't consider this anything to write home about, but the fact that it's working at 3600, that's like solid. So, oh, I guess I could have also required stability proofs. Anyway, so we'll keep going. Somebody decided to get creative with their link, but I should still be able to. Okay, so we've got 7,000 on. Oh boy, I don't know how much memory this is. I forgot MemTweakit doesn't say memory capacity. Well, I'm assuming this is a single rank because your dual rank timings are all auto. Wait, no, see? Oh, right, Asus does the thing where they have the different rank timings all the way down here. These aren't auto, are they? This is a dual rank setup, isn't it? Owner of these timings, please speak up. Oh, and we also have a super chat. Okay, so I'm doing that one next. Thanks, Sebi. But yeah, so I'm gonna assume this is dual rank just because of the dual like DRDD timings being not horrendous. Wait, yeah, not horrendous. So, because otherwise, like, well, okay, this is the original Elite, so actually that kind of makes sense even if it was single rank. But the like TREFI, yeah, I guess if you don't have a lot of cooling, it's not worth like testing the limits of that. RTP looks fine, TFall looks fine, TRDs look fine, TRFC looks fine. 3442. On Gigabyte, you don't get to adjust RP separate from your TRCD, which is just kind of dumb. Yeah, no, I don't see anything wrong with this. I'm okay. Actually, this is probably single rank because yeah, it is the old Elite. Because if you're on the newer Elite, that one does clock memory better. So for single rank, I would have expected like maybe maybe a somewhat higher frequency. But yeah, this looks good. Bit surprised that the refresh interval is so low. So up next we have some absolutely insane settings that I'm sure are very stable. DDR5 9200. This was posted by Sebi. So 9200 CL28. How much voltage is this on? So yeah, 28, 47, yeah, TRP at 40, TRC DWR at 14. Wait, does TRC DWR actually start 1.95 VDD and 1.6 VDDQ? Okay, that makes sense. Wait, is the memory cold? Oh yeah, this is 16 gigabit A die. No, it's not memtest stable. It's just for Geekbench. And that's like one hell of a Geekbench score right there, 19,000 memory points. Now, Geekbench's memory benchmark is basically like if you took all the different IDA memory benchmarks and put them together into one thing. So not exactly the most precise of measurement tools out there in terms of gauging memory performance, but yep, it's some like it does actually like this needs to be at least a little bit stable. Like you can run settings that will just lock up on Geekbench quite easily. So, you know, this isn't just like screenshot. This does actually have like the purpose of breaking, like getting high scores in Geekbench, as practical as that may or may not be. Entertaining though. So, yeah, TRFC 480 refresh interval just completely maxed out because you're not gonna run it's just not a concern for this kind of setup. TWR at 15 because TWR pre at 45. Yeah, I keep forgetting that like technically on Intel, or not forgetting, but like on Intel that this timing doesn't actually exist. It's like calculated from the TWR pre timing and some other things. Anyway, TCWL at 26. I'm surprised the like everything else is absolutely slammed, and the TCWL here actually looks kind of reasonable. TRRDSG at 16. I would have expected that at 9200 that would have to be a bit looser. SGDG. As far as I know, the Intel memory controller doesn't support odd timings for the tertiaries, so 19 probably is getting rounded up to 20, as far as I know. So like TRDWR SG, TRDWR DG, both at 19. I'm pretty sure that's actually 20. Right to right, same group is at 10, which is interesting. Man, Hynix memory sticks are so good at write operations. It's kind of insane. Wait, is that why TCWL might be so like sensible? Anyway, right to read same group 56, right to read different group 40. Yeah, so this is absolutely just slammed, and we have the score to, you know, show it. Anyway, next set of timings. So I did say super chats get priority, but I didn't. It doesn't say you get priority for, you know, super chatting more money. So I'll go in order for the super chats. So we have like somebody actually like ran all the stress tests here up next. So what do we have here? We have a Ryzen system, an X670E ProArt Creator running 6400 on 96 gigs of memory in 1-to-1 mode. So that's impressive. That's really... And at 1.25 SoC, so that's a really solid memory controller right there. Yeah, because that's like the main thing with... Okay, you know what, Imgur? If you're not going to cooperate, I'm just going to open the link in a new tab. There we go. Yeah, because that's 1.25 volts of SoC voltage, so that's impressive. Because a lot of CPUs just will not do 6400 even at 1.3, though I don't know if over time the I/O dies might not have gotten better. But like I only have one CPU that has like even remotely a chance of doing 6400 at all, and that's a Ryzen 7600X. So yeah. Anyway, so yeah, like good memory controller here. And then 30, 37, 37, 34, 30, 64. Yeah, so solid primary timings. Yeah, that looks I don't think at 1.4 volts, yeah, I don't think you're going to be pushing it much lower without like massively higher voltages. Then we've got TRRDS at 8 and TRRDL 12, TFall 32. Makes sense. Because the thing is, if your like TRRDS is at 8, there's no point setting TFall below 32. It's not going to do anything. WTRS at 4, WTRL at 16. Yep, that's sensible. TRFC at 650. I think that's correct for Hynix 24 gigabit MDI. And then we've got, well, the other two TRFCs don't actually do anything, so we're not going to worry about them. RDRDSCL at 4, WRWRSCL at 2. Yep, that's typical, what you'd expect from Hynix 24 gigabit MDI at 6400. TCWL 28, you don't get to change that on AM5, so that's just locked to the TCL. RTP at 12, neat. TRDWR 16, WRD 4. And then even the, same DIM and different DIM timings are tightened. So, yeah, looks good. Looks really good. And we have a, 3-hour Y-Cruncher run, and then, like, over 1,000% HCI mem test. So, yeah, this looks really, really good for... I'm assuming with with the creator Wi-Fi, I'm assuming this is a workstation. Like, this looks really good. I'm kind of surprised that you'd be overclocking what I'm assuming is a workstation build, though. But, yep, this like is for 1-to-1 mode. This is basically as good as it gets, unless you like smash the memory voltage, and then like the only thing that really changes is that you might be able to run lower TCL and maybe lower TRRDs. Anyway, so next timings. Sir, Cinebench is not a memory benchmark. What are you doing? So yeah, we've got a... Okay, well, we're going to open that in a new tab so we can zoom in. Yeah, but Cinebench is not a memory benchmark, so we'll just ignore that. But in terms of settings, we're looking at 6400. Yeah, 1.29 SoC. See, this is... Oh, man, I did not think this through. So 1.29 SoC. Yeah, this is kind of what you'd expect from, honestly, most CPUs in terms of SoC voltage requirements, or actually not even most CPUs. But, like, it's so rare to have a CPU that can do 6400, at least in my experience. Admittedly, I don't bin CPUs in mass, so yeah, like my sample size isn't huge, but also I'm not aware of a lot of 6400 capable chips, and a lot of the ones that can do it need just a ton of voltage. So yeah, this is basically exactly what I'd expect. We're on a X670 Aorus Pro X in 1-to-1 mode. I mean, if it was 2-to-1 mode, you wouldn't need insane SoC voltages, would you? So yeah, another 96 gig setup. Oh, so I was wrong about the TRFC requirements. That other setup had the TRFC unnecessarily loose. But it doesn't really matter when you max out your refresh interval, right? Like 650 TRFC at 65,000 refresh interval is like 1% of your available clock cycles spent on refresh, which is just kind of nothing. And 570 by comparison is like 0.8% or something. So the difference in actual real world performance is minimal. Anyway, primary is looking good, 30, 37, 37, 37. You could probably tune the TRP down a bit. Unless you have one of those memory kits where for whatever reason TRAS and TRP like don't want to get very low. TRC makes sense. Yeah, TRC makes sense. TRRDS 6. Why is TRRDL at 16? What is that? Why is it so loose? It probably won't impact performance too much, just because with DDR5 you have multiple bank groups, so you know the L timings are even less used than they are on, say, DDR4. But yeah, I'm surprised that that's not at 12. Like I would have expected basically any kit of MDI to do 12, though. If lowering it to 12 forces you to lower the memory clock, I would not do that. Like if you in order to run TRRD 12, you need to drop the memory speed to 6200. I would rather run 6400 with TRRDL 16. Because more clock speed, more better than like 4 ticks of one timing that, you know, gets used theoretically 1/8 of the, actually not even theoretically 1/8 of the time. Like it can, like the memory controller can go without using TRDL for very long periods of time if the memory like if the data in the memory is laid out optimally. So anyway, TFAW at 20, so that's just at the register limit, which is fine. WTRS 6, WTRL 16, sensible values for those. TWR 48 doesn't go any lower than that. TRFC we already went over. TRDSCL and WRSCL we are at 4.4, which I would be very surprised if 4.2 didn't work, but 4.4 and 4.2, especially since like the 2 is on the right operations, is just kind of like, cool, that from a performance perspective, I see nothing wrong with that. RTP, we're looking at 26. Did you just leave that on auto? Because that is really high. It would probably do like 16 or 12. And then your same dim, different dim timings are completely untuned. I am not a fan. So we'll actually just reference the other setup that we had here, because those were good. And off the top of my head, I don't remember. Yeah, so like this 96 gig 6400 setup is running 6688. Like 11, 11, 10, 10, like not ideal. Probably not the end of the world in terms of performance impact, but if you are on a, like, what's kind of funny is if you leave your same dim, different dim timings on auto, with DDR5, because you already have so many bank groups on a single rank of DDR5, if you go dual rank, which this is, and you don't tighten your different rank timings, so SD and DD, you can actually end up losing performance in certain situations, because you already, like, one rank of DDR5 is already so strong on the bank interleaving that, like, the dual rank doesn't compensate for your garbage tertiary timings with DDR5. So you end up like basically when the memory controller goes to access something on a different rank, you get this really big delay. So if it starts doing a lot of rank interleaving because the data is just not, it's not all in the same rank, it's in two different ranks and it keeps going back and forth between them, that actually ends up getting kind of slow, especially if your tertiaries are just like 11, 11, 10, 10. And there I would honestly expect that if you tighten these, you might again run into the memory clock dropping. But for these, I wouldn't actually mind like dropping down to 6200 if it allows you to run like sensible same dim, different dim timings. Because yeah, these can be quite detrimental to performance. Though you might want to test that for your own use cases with something that isn't Cinebench, because that is not a memory benchmark. Oh, and then we have 2133 FCLK, which is optimal for 6400. So, yeah, and in terms of voltages, I'm kind of surprised that you're running so much VDDQ for a Gigabyte board, but hey, if it works, I'm not going to complain about it. Because in my experience, a lot of Gigabyte boards like prefer the VDDQ and VDDIO voltages pretty low, but yeah, if it's working, like I don't see any reason to fix it, right? Like, you might just make the stability worse. And CLDO VDDP at 1.15, which is perfectly fine. So it's on the high side, but like it's not gonna damage anything. And depending on your CPU, might actually be necessary for these settings. So yeah, that's that. Next timings. Wait, who did I just? Okay, so well, at least I can keep track because of the highlights in chat. So let's see. Okay, so we just have a nice simple one. Whoa, another 6400, and this one's like slammed. Oh, and on a Hero, 1.25 volts SoC. Voltage reading. Oh, yeah, the voltage readings bug out when you run high voltages. So I'm gonna 6400 CL28. I'm gonna assume this is like 1.6 volts or higher for VDD. VDDQ probably similar. Interesting that your VDDIO is that also bug? No, that doesn't bug out. So that should be correct. That is an interesting VDDIO to VDDQ situation, because usually, at least in my experience with Asus, you want to run them at like the same thing, but yeah, it might have changed. I've never had a Hero, so that board might just be different as well. But yeah, so I don't see anything wrong with that. I'm like running 1.6 volts, or yeah, it's going to be like 1.6 or something for 6428. And then we've got 37, just a bunch of 3774. Cool. I'm assuming this is... Oh, no, this is going to... Wait. No, this is A die. Why, like, you're like smashing everything else. Why is your TRP just like the same as TRCD? Not that it is going to make a massive difference. It's just like I'm confused because it's like, okay, we have CL28. Also, your SCLs are like not good. Um, but then like then your like different rank timings, which aren't relevant to your setup, are set to 1. So I mean, if you like seeing low numbers, sure. Not that it does anything. Um, T4, TRDs, okay, that looks fine. WTRS, WTRL, it looks fine. TWR looks fine. TRFC is slammed. TREFI is maxed out. Yeah, so really the only thing, like, I'm surprised that you didn't bother to do anything more with TRP, because usually it would go a bit lower than your, especially if you're at, like, high voltage. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if it did, like, 30 even. But probably it's more likely to work, like, to do, like, 32. And then SCL's 5.5, like what? Like I would assume 4.4 should work, or even 4.2. Um, but yeah, other than that, like this is actually like really good. Um, and I don't know that like lowering the SCLs by 1, like it does technically affect like synthetic like memory bandwidth tests quite a bit to set the SCLs as low as possible, but um, probably not that big a deal. And then, of course, we have the FCLK at 2133. I have a lot of 6400 setups here. I wonder how old is this CPU? Yeah, I kind of wonder how old this CPU is. Like, I have, like, one chip that, like, barely does 6400. And then, you know... and the 7800X3D in my daily system doesn't even do 6200. But... Anyway, let's keep going. Oh, so you can like customize these links. That's cool. Ooh, we've got a 5800X 3D setup. Okay, so 3800, 14, 8, 15, 14, 28, 42, 4, 4, 16. Oh, yay, this is the B-die timings that like I like to see. 1900 FCLK, of course, 1.1 volts SoC, LDO VDDPO 0.95, VDDGs at an interesting setup, and this is on a Vision D-P. Yeah, and this is single rank, and yeah, so like primaries, I'm assuming what memory voltage? Yeah, 1.55 volts. Okay, yeah, so primaries aren't like anything super ridiculously insane, but just like solid B-die primary timings. Yeah, and then also secondaries, right? TRRDS, like TRRDs minimized, TFAW minimized, WTRs at what they usually do, TWR at 12, TRFC at 247. Yep, SCLs at 2.2, RTP at 6, which is I don't usually bother putting it that low, but yeah, that does work. TCWL at 10, TRDWR 12. Yeah, so this is just a very solid. Also interesting that your Proco DT is so high for a Vision. Because in my experience, like my Vision really, really likes the Proco DT at like 40. Then again, I don't usually, like I haven't really tested that board for like full stability. So a lot of my time on the Vision was basically just trying to like max out the memory speed. And in my experience for that, Proco DT at 40 was optimal. So if I wanted to do like 4800 CL15 or something, Proco DT 40 would work best for that. But yeah, no, this is just a very solid, kind of generic B-die setup. Oh, and the instructions are getting in the way. But yeah, this is like goals as far as I'm concerned for like single rank B-die setups is basically stuff like this. And your primaries might be a bit different, but your secondaries, like you might sometimes get kits that won't do TRDL 4 without like a lot of extra voltage, but yeah, like I don't think there's too. Well, okay, actually, I shouldn't say that because technically you can get like low bin B-die, which is basically indistinguishable from C-die. No, off the top of my head, C-die does do TRDS and TRDL at 4 anyway, so... but yeah, so this is a really solid setup right here. Nothing that I would complain about, because it's just good. So, Next we have, oh boy. I did not think this through. That link didn't work. Did I copy it wrong? Please tell me I just copied it wrong. Nope, that one just isn't working. Matt Wilson, you're gonna want to check your link, because I can't get it to work. I mean, I'm gonna try again, but... Yep, that just doesn't work. It just 404s for me. So maybe you have it like set private or something. What voltage way too high? What for even if this was DDR5, I would completely consider 1.55 volts completely acceptable. Like the one thing where you'll see a lot of variance with BDI is your primary timings requirement for like memory voltage. And so not all kits, like really, really good sticks will do 3800 CL14 at like 1.45. But in my experience, most kits won't. Most kits will need 1.5 or more. And this is one of the kits that needs more. About 50 millivolts more. So yeah, I'm guessing they just tested it in 50 millivolt increments. So it might need like 1.52 or something, but like 1.55, 1.52 doesn't matter, right? Like as long as your memory sticks aren't getting so hot that it causes instability, like honestly, even if somebody posted like timings with 1.6 volts for BDI, I would not see any issue with that. Anyway, next link. Why doesn't this one work either? This was going so well. No. YouTube, stop. Also, if you're wondering why the instructions are the way they are, it's because YouTube doesn't allow links, and I can't do anything about that. So this is the best alternative that I came up with. Why? Yep, nope, that doesn't work. So compatibility, I can't read your, wait, can I? Oh, nope, that doesn't work. How? Oh. Well, YouTube's not helpful for that. Is 1.55 fine for 24/7? Yep. Somebody else's master likes 53.3. Interesting. Oh, okay. We have another super chat link, so let's check that one. Oh, and this one works. Okay, so evidently the problem isn't my instructions. So we've got a 7600 at 6000 with 1.24 volts. That is a lot of SoC voltage for 6000. Like I've had like my 7800X 3D is bad, but it's not this bad. You should be able to run less SoC voltage than that, unless you have literally like one of the worst memory controllers ever on a Ryzen CPU. And then primaries. Oh, isn't this just like my lazy Hynix timings? Oh yeah, it is, because we've got 30. Yeah, like your primaries are just on auto, 1.35 VDD. Because yeah, this just looks like XMP primary timings with TRC at 68. Oh. Yeah, so the thing about the TRC at 68 is that that's supposed to be if your TRP's at 38 and your TRAS at 30, but honestly, like, it doesn't really matter in this scenario. Like, it's fine. That's not, like, the funny thing with a lot of the timing relationships is not so much that, like, if you set one thing too low, it'll cause, like, some massive, well, okay, It depends on the timing, because obviously there's some timings, like if you set your cast latency too low, your system just won't post. But yeah, TRAS, TRP, and okay, well, TRP, if you set it too low, yeah, you won't post. But kind of TRAS and TRC, um, that's not like it's not gonna really cause too many issues if like your TRC is technically lower than TRAS plus TRP, so that's fine. And then TRD is just 4, 8, 20, and WTRS 16, 616, 500 TRFC. Yeah, these are my lazy timings. Yeah, TRE at 550,000, 32 gigs. I wouldn't fix like I don't know. Like you could probably lower your primaries a bit. Your SOC voltage seems on. Did my video recommend that much SOC voltage? Yeah, I guess it might have, because that's like 1.25 volts is perfectly safe, and it pretty much guarantees that it's gonna work, right? Like that's actually the whole reason that like we had that whole issue with motherboards defaulting the SoC voltage way too high, is because the Ryzen memory, like Ryzen 7000 memory controller, it scales with memory voltage all the way to like, I mean, with SoC voltage all the way to like 1.4 volts. Like if you have a CPU that like barely does 6400 at 1.3, it'll probably be stable at like 1.35. And if you barely do it at 1.35, then it'll probably work at 1.4. But the problem with those really high SoC voltages is that they eventually break the CPU, sometimes really quickly. So yeah, so the like that's why the motherboards tend to default the SoC voltage super high, because it just guarantees that, you know, if you have like a 6200 rated kit or 6400 rated kit, it maximizes the probability that it's actually going to work. So yeah. So honestly, I probably wouldn't even bother. Like what you could do, because your primary timings are so loose, you could bump TCL to like 32 and then see if like 6200 works. And then FCLK at like 2066, and make sure that your UCLK is synchronized. And that would give you like probably more of a performance bump than trying to fine tune any of the timings at 6000 ish. I mean, yeah, no, I don't think even like setting TREFI from 50,000 to 65,000 is probably going to make less of a difference than trying to like checking if like 6200 works. Because with this much SoC voltage, chances are 6200 will work if you just raise TCL to 32. Or if you don't want to raise TCL, you could just set memory voltage to like 1.43 and it'll probably work. So yeah. It's kind of that. It's my thoughts on that. I'm assuming this is like stable for you, because, or did I miss some context? Yeah, I didn't miss any context. Okay, next link. How are these not working? Is your like account set private or what? Oh, there we go. Oh, I'm so... Wait. Oh, that might be on me. Do I have like a refund button or something? I don't. Of course I don't, because that would be stupid. Why would you need that? Oh no. Okay. Yeah, it was on me. I was like, because all the other links use the like A, and this doesn't have the A. And some people like post a link that includes the A without the A, and some anyway. So very sorry about that. Oh boy, this CPU is really good. 1.2 volts SoC to do 6400. Does this thing post 6600 if you just set the SoC voltage to 1.3? Because I would think it does. Like, I'm pretty, like, I think if you have a CPU that boots 6400 at 1.2, it'll boot like 6600 at 1.3. It might not be stable. But actually, honestly, it might be. It might even be stable at 6600 with 1.3 SoC. Because, like, the voltage step, like, that's a really big voltage step. So I would imagine that, yeah, that would actually work. So that might be worth trying. Though, for 6600, ideally, you would want to run 2200 FCLK. But in my experience, the FCLK scales negatively with SoC voltage. So more SoC voltage gives you more gives you higher UCLK capabilities, but it lowers the max FCLK. So you can end up in this kind of so you could end up in this really kind of awkward situation of like, yeah, my CPU can do 3300 UCLK at 1.3 SoC, but the FCLK is limited to like 2100 or less potentially, though I think 2100 or even 2133 should be fine. And 6600 with 2133 FCLK, I think would still be faster than 6400 with 2133 FCLK, because on Ryzen, the like memory, like the latency of the memory itself, like vastly surpasses the Infinity Fabric in my experience. So even like 6200 with 2000 FCLK is better than 6000 with 2000 FCLK. Or even like 6000 with 2200 FCLK. 6200 at 2000 is just usually faster. But anyway, yeah, this is a really good CPU. So like oh wait, you're on 64 gigs. So 6600 might actually not work. But it's worth trying, I think. Like, I'd try it. Like, I'd want to know if I had a chip that can, like, do anything at 6600, because that's rare. That's really rare. We've got another case of your same DIMM, different DIMM timings are on auto. You should try lowering these. So, like, read to read, same DIMM. Wait, you guys can't see my cursor. Is there a thing that I can do? It says capture cursor. Why isn't it doing it? Oh, now you can see my cursor. Oh, I must have clicked off the window or something. Anyway, so yeah, like your read to read, same DIMM, different DIMM, like these can go lower. I think they might do 6, and write to write 8 probably. Primaries look good. Yeah, like I'm like the primaries look fine. Like you could try messing with TRP if you have Hynix 8i, but it's not going to make a massive difference. TRFC 76 cool, TRRDS, TRRDL 4820 cool. This is like my lazy timings for the rest of it, isn't it? Yeah, RTP 12, SCL's at 44. Yeah, so the one thing I would change here is like same DIMM, different DIMM. I tried to lower those a bit. Because yeah, actually, you know what? The video I did with the MSI board with the 64 gig King Bank kit, that should give you a good reference for what different, like same DIMM, different DIMM timings to use. Actually, I'm just going to go check that myself. Is this muted? I don't really want to hear myself. Cool. Where is that video? Yeah, 6688 for your for the same DIMM, different DIMM timings. So 6, 6, 8. Oh wait, you can't see the cursor again. 6, 6, 8, 8. And that should work. And that'll give you like a little bit more memory bandwidth primarily. And it shouldn't really cause any issues. It might cause a SoC voltage requirement increase, a very slight one, but I kind of doubt it. But it's not like it. Yeah. So, but I definitely try that because that should just work. Anyway, so yeah, solid timings. Also, just whoa, what a memory controller! Like the like 6400 at 1.2, like that is really good. So. Oh no. Okay, I went over that one. Somebody's running 4 sticks of DJR. Let's take a look. On Ryzen. Oh boy. Yep, that looks like... Oh. That's an interesting one. Is this actually, like, stable? Like, doesn't spit hardware errors? Because if that, like, that's rare. That you can I still don't have a single AM. Well, admittedly, I don't have a lot of Ryzen AM4 CPUs. Like I have a 5950X and a 5700X 3D, and they both just max out at 1900 if you want error-free Infinity Fabric. But so basically, like, I don't have like a great like my sample size is kind of too small. But anyway. As far as I know, generally, like, being able to run more than 1900 FCLK is quite rare without, like, errors. Because the thing is, like, it's really easy to boot high FCLK, but the issue is, like, you always end up with just, like, a ton of hardware errors, and you also, potentially, if you push the FCLK way too far, you actually start losing performance. But I'm going to assume that, well, you know, this will be that this is stable. Anyway, TCL 16, yep, like DJR things. I'm assuming, oh, that's not even that high voltage. And then TRC DRD 22 because DJR sucks at TRC DRD. RTP at 20. I'm surprised you bothered to find out that that goes lower, but cool. Doesn't hurt anything. TRS at 28, TRC at 62. Yeah, so the TRC is just like basically on AM4. Depending on like your TRC, basically, if your TRC is higher than your TRAS plus TRP, like your TRAS basically doesn't do anything, in my experience. So you could potentially even set like TRAS to 20, and it wouldn't change performance or stability in any way because the CPU, like the memory controller, just ignores it. But yeah, so the TRC looks like typical Hynix things. TRRD is good, WTR is good, TWR good, TRFC 460, like that's actually a solid TRFC. SCL's at 2.2, nice. TCWL at 14, I don't think it goes any lower than that. RTP at 6, cool. I feel like the WRRD is like a little bit weirdly high. And then SDDD timings at 666, cool. Like, yeah, I don't. So the only one I'm wondering about is the write to read timing. But it's been a really long time since I've used DJR. So, yeah, everything else about this looks good. And then just the main thing I'm wondering about is like the 2000 FCLK stability is an interesting thing. Actually, on that note, yeah, it's not like you're doing anything weird with the VDDGs either. Did you like bump the PLL rail? Because on some CPUs, actually on basically all Ryzen 5000 CPUs, you can improve Infinity Fabric stability above like at high Infinity Fabric clocks by raising the 1.8 volt rail. Actually, I'm not sure if the MSI... No, MSI should have that available in the BIOS. But yeah, there's like a 1.8 volt rail, and if you just raise that to like 1.9, 1.95, honestly, even above 2 volts, it can like improve the Infinity Fabric stability, which is like what I was doing when benching the 5950X in TimeSpy. TimeSpy is super memory bandwidth sensitive and also Infinity Fabric sensitive because of that. So basically with the 5950X, you'd want to push the Infinity Fabric as high as possible. And again, my 5950X isn't stable above 1900. But it is stable enough that if you raise the PLL voltage to like the 1.8 volt, actually it's not PLL. I'm not sure if it's called PLL. Like Asus calls it 1.8 PLL, if I'm not mistaken. Gigabyte, it's like VDD18, if I remember correctly. And I don't know what the official AMD name for it is because AMD doesn't, unfortunately, have public documentation like Intel does. Yeah, if you like for that 5950X, when I was trying to push like I think 2033 FCLK, I was running like 2.05 volts on the 1.8 volt rail, because that would actually make it more stable. Because if I ran it at like 1.8 volts or 1.9 volts, the score would actually drop at that high FCLK. So that's like one thing that I think on some CPUs it might actually completely clear up the errors, but on most CPUs in my experience it just helps a bit. I've not had a CPU where it's like, oh, at 1.8 volts it's completely unstable, and then you bump it to 1.9 and then it's stable or something. That I've not had that. Then again, only had 2 5000 series chips, so not exactly a massive sample size. Anyway, solid settings for DJR. Like I don't. Oh, and oh yeah, with gear down mode, but that's fine. I don't generally bother with turning that off. So next timings. Also, I did not figure out how to end this. Can you tell that I'm bad at planning things? Yeah, I'm not sure how we're gonna end this stream. I guess we'll just go like for another hour maybe? I don't know, because it's already been 54 minutes. Anyway, so we've got a 7800X3D running 6000, 1.19 SoC. Is this zoomed in enough? I'll zoom it in more. Yeah, 2166 Infinity Fabric, which, like, this actually makes sense. Like, if you're at, so with Ryzen 7000, if you set the Infinity, like, there's a slight latency benefit to running the, very slight latency benefit of running the FCLK synced with, it's not synced, that's the whole issue, right? Is like, 2000 FCLK doesn't line up with 3000 6,000 UCLK, right? Because this is the actual memory controller clock, and that's the Infinity Fabric clock. But there is, I guess, some kind of optimization of the buffer between the FCLK and the UCLK, where if the UCLK is at a 3, like where if they're at a 3:2 ratio, it's like very slightly better than if you were running, say, 1966 Infinity Fabric, or which I'm not even sure that ratio is. I think it might be a 1950 ratio for AM5. But there is also the like 2033 Infinity Fabric option, right? So like 2033, and also I know the video I did with the Lazy Hynix timing says like 2033 is faster. That's because there was like a bug in that old AGSA that led to a performance uplift. That bug got fixed, so that doesn't work anymore. But basically, so on a new AGSA, 2033 FCLK is slower than like 2000 FCLK. But if you push the FCLK high enough, the extra speed will actually completely negate the fact that the 3:2 ratio has a very slight latency benefit to it. And it basically happens at like 2100 FCLK, if I remember correctly, that you're actually better off with just more FCLK. So if you're at 6,000 and you have like low SoC voltage, which typically allows you to run very high FCLKs, it's beneficial to just push the FCLK as high as you can. Because it's just going to be like, as long as you're not going from like 2000 to like 2033 or 2066, but you're going from like 2000 to 2133, 2166, 2200, that's just going to be faster than running 3000, 2000. So yeah, so this like makes perfect sense. MEMVDD, okay, this is bugged out. CL28, I'm going to assume 1.5 volts. And we're on a Asus board running 1.3 VDDIO. Cool. Evidently, I need to use more Asus boards. Keep getting surprised by the VDDIO values, because like the last time I used an Asus board, I had to like run VDDIO complete, like synced to VDDQ, or it just wouldn't want to post. But that was like many months ago. So I guess the AGSA updates and just BIOS updates might have probably just changed that behavior. Anyway, primaries 28, 36, 36, 28. Okay, this is A die and it is slammed. I mean, technically, if you push the voltage even higher, you could probably get CL26 to work, but there's no real benefits to that. TRS 30, TRC 58. Yep, that makes sense. TRDs 4.8 cool, TFAL 20 cool. TWRS 416 cool, TWR 48, TRFC 466 cool, SCLs 42 cool, TCWL you don't get to play with that, so it is like it like TCL 28, so TCWL 26 of course, RTP 12 cool. This is single rank, so we don't have to worry about the dual rank timings, and TREF and TREFI is completely maxed out. So yeah, solid setup. Next timings. Okay, hopefully I don't botch the link. Okay, cool. We've got another Ryzen setup, 5800X3D with Micron? Yes. Yeah, so we've got some dual rank, M16FE. Yeah, dual rank E die. 8 gigabit. 16, 17 at 37. That's actually like surprisingly no, that's WR. Why is it at 17? Doesn't it go to like 8? I'm pretty sure it goes to like 8 on basically everything. Yeah. But it also doesn't affect performance that much because this is like activate commands specifically for write operations, and write operations under most circumstances are not much of a performance bottleneck, right? Because if you think about it, in order to like, let's say you like, in order to write something, you usually need at least like 2 inputs to make 1 output, right? So you don't usually need as much memory bandwidth as you need read bandwidth. Anyway, RCDRD 19, yep, so that's typical Micron things. RTP 17, typical Micron things. TRAS at 21, so it's just ignored because TRC's at 62. TRD's at 416, cool. TFAL 16, cool. WTR's nothing to complain about there. typically, yeah, TRFC at 580, which is like typical Micron things because it just doesn't go that low. SCL's at 4.4, and this is a dual rank setup, so yeah, 4.466 on the dual rank timings, so that's all good. SoC voltage at 1.08, cool, and memory voltage at 1.4. So this is like a low voltage setup. I mean, that makes sense. Like the thing is, like, yeah, maybe if you shoved like 1.5, 1.6 volts into the sticks, you might be able to do CL14, but nothing else would really improve. So that's kind of pointless. And the motherboard, a B650 mortar. Yeah, no, this looks good. I see nothing to complain about here. Anyway, next timings. Oh boy, I scrolled way too far. This format was what speed overclock Ryzen 7700 and 7200 Hynix? You probably want to run it at 6000. I have a 4-stick setup next. Okay. I need to figure, like, I didn't think about how to, like, handle the number of potential incoming. What? Did I not copy the damn link? Anyway. So this is 4 sticks. You brave. This very brave. But it can work. And yeah, at 6200, that's interesting choice of FC. Oh no, yeah, 2166 would be faster than like 2066. So that makes sense. Also, the funny thing with the FCLK is it also kind of depends on what workload you're running. Because if you have something like, if you have something that's memory bandwidth bound, because Ryzen 7000's Infinity Fabric is so slow relative to the memory, if you're running something like Y-Cruncher, even the, like, so going from, like, say 2066, because this is a 6200 setup, right? So the 3-to-2 ratio would be 2066. So going from that 3-to-2 ratio to even say 2100, which would for most things be bad, for Y-Cruncher, it's actually good. Because Y-Cruncher is so memory bandwidth bound that it just doesn't care that going from, 2100, like from 2066 to 2100, your memory bandwidth barely changes and your memory latency gets very slightly worse because Y-Cruncher is so memory bandwidth sensitive that it actually still like benefits from that. But when you go all the way up to like 2066, that's actually just going to be pretty universally faster. Evidently, this CPU's memory controller is kind of garbage, or you just really don't care about minimizing the SoC voltage, because that is a lot of SoC voltage. Yeah, that is a lot of SoC voltage. Kind of wondering if you run less SoC voltage, would you maybe be able to run higher FCLK? Then again, if the CPU's memory controller is trash, you won't be able to run 6200 anymore, so, and more Infinity Fabric is less important than more memory clock, weirdly enough. Like, you would think that since the Infinity Fabric is so slow relative to the memory, it's always beneficial to push the Infinity Fabric before memory clock, but for reasons that I don't understand, like, very consistently, 200 mega transfers per second more of memory clock is better than 200 megahertz more Infinity Fabric. And that this wouldn't even be 200 megahertz more. It would be like 33, so yeah. Anyway, CLDO VDDP is at 1.15, which is kind of high but not dangerous, so yeah, that's cool. And depending on the CPU and motherboard for this setup might even be necessary. In terms of the actual timings, wait, what? What's with my zoom? There we go. We got 30, 38, 38, 38, 30, 68, 48, 26. Okay, this is just my lazy Hynix timings, except you've maxed the TREFI, which, honestly, I approve. Oh, and you actually figured out which of your your dual rank timings apply to your setup, I'm guessing, right? Yeah, because because these are, wait, it says single rank. You're set both of them, or do you actually need to run that at 11? Because like I haven't like investigated 4x16 a bunch, but I'm pretty sure your different rank time, like, because this is same dim, like SD stands for same dim, but you have like each of your memory ranks is on a different DIMM. So, yeah, I think you got your like timings backwards there. And this is why for dual rank setups, I just set both of them to the same thing. Because then you don't have to think about like, well, which rank. No, just set both of them to the same thing, and then regardless of if the rank is on the same stick or a different stick, you're setting the correct timing, because you just set all of them. But yeah, I'm not sure if these wouldn't go lower because I've again not really tested 4x16 in depth. Like I did, briefly check like, hey, can you kind of do like 6,000 plus with it? You can, but ultimately like it's so iffy about actually working consistently that I didn't, like I didn't want to make a video like, hey, you can do 4x16 and it's not completely terrible because then I'll get a bunch of comments from people about how their 4x16 setup doesn't work for reasons that I'm not going to be able to troubleshoot over the internet. So I would just prefer it if people didn't run 4x16. But yeah, evidently you seem to know mostly what you're doing. But yeah, I think your different rank rank timings are not set quite right. As in, I don't think you're actually configuring the ones that are relevant to your setup. Anyway, next timings. We've got a 2x24 setup next. Oh, and we've got all of the information for this one. How does this keep happening? Like, apparently I can't copy links. Okay, what we got here? Ooh, we got a B650 Tai Chi Lite. Nice. Cool board. I really wish I'd get a chance to test one. Anyway, so we're 6400, very high SoC voltage, which is kind of what I'd expect for 6400. I am surprised that you're able to run 2200 FCLK. And I'm also kind of wondering if like 2133 might actually be better for this. Yeah. Or it might be about the same. Because, again, like, there's that whole trade-off of, like, yeah, 2200 will definitely, if you have memory bandwidth limited workloads, which I don't think you're going to be running on a 7800X3D, 2200 is better. If you're on latency limited workloads, 2133 is probably going to be better. Because the 2133 to 2200 is such a small speed difference that I would think 2133 would actually win in this situation. Anyway, let's look at the timings. We got, gear down mode disabled, and apparently 1T command rate. Neat. And then TCL, we've got 28, so yeah, your memory voltages are bugged out, but we have all the hardware info. So I'm sure if we just look around, we won't find the memory voltages. Yep, no memory voltages. Oh, well. See, the reason I was like, oh, you can add hardware info because it, like, reads memory voltages, but, you do have to actually scroll to them. Anyway, I'm going to guess this is, like, 1.5-ish. Like, it's over 1.43, because it bugs out when you go over 1.43. So anytime you see these, like, very low voltages on Zen timings with, like, really low timings, it's because they're running more than 1.43 volts. Well, let's go through 28, 38, 38, 32, 32, 56. Interesting choice of TRC. I'm not sure that actually does anything for performance, but hey, if it's stable, I'm not going to complain about it. And yeah, the primary is like, this is A dot. No, 24 gigabit MDI. Right. Yeah, 48 gig sticks. Dumb mistake on my part. Yeah, no, those look good. TRRDs look good. WTRs look good. TWR is minimized. TRFC at 500 and TRFC same bank at 1337. How very elite of you. I mean, when you're running 6400 on a Ryzen CPU, I guess fair enough. SCL's at 4.4. I am surprised that you're not bothering to, like, WR in my experience, like, always does 2. Maybe I don't have enough experience though. But yeah, I'd probably, like, I usually just autopilot to 2. Actually, I say that, and let's just see what I'm running right now. I'm just gonna quickly check. I'm pretty sure it's 2. I'm also at like 6,000, so you know, because my CPU's memory controller is trash. But yeah, I'm at 2 for WRSCL. But it's like also it's not that performance critical, so whatever. And this is a single rank setup, so the multi-rank timings don't matter. And VDDIO at 1.35, which seems, yep, that Asrock things, and VDDP at 1.15, also Asrock things. So, yeah, looks good. Looks really good. I mean, your SoC voltage is really high, and I'm kind of questioning the Infinity Fabric because of that. Because, yeah, in my experience, that high SoC voltage should be problematic for FCLK at that speed, but in terms of performance, like, this is fast. Yeah, anyway, next timings. Board doesn't like any more clock or lower primaries. Is it because of 2x8 on a T topology Z390? Well, I guess we'll find out because I don't know what the settings are yet. Nope, that's not. Oh, we've got a Z390. Oh, wait, and is it because of T? Is there something I could try? Okay, so you have a Z390 Gigabyte board, and these are kind of annoying. Because there's actually multiple PCB versions of these boards, similar to how like Gigabyte had like X570 release memory topology and then the later memory topology, which is just vastly superior to the old memory topology. Yeah, they did the same thing with Z390, where like so if you have like an early Z390 Aorus Pro Wi-Fi, that board is not great. And the later boards, and if you get like a later PCB version, where literally, as far as I know, the only thing they changed was the memory topology. That will generally clock a lot higher. But yeah, 2x8 on that board is rough. And the funny, what's, if I remember correctly, even 4x8 isn't like much better. Because that memory topology just wasn't great, I don't think. Like I think 4x8 is still like you're still not going to be going over 4,000 or something. And even 4,000, I think, is going to be a struggle, if even possible, with one of the like with the Z390 Aorus Pro Wi-Fi. Mind you, I never got I only had a Z390 Master in first topology and then better like second topology. I didn't get to test an Aorus Pro in like with the later topology. I don't even know if I would assume it got a better topology. Because that's not like that from a manufacturing perspective, like that doesn't actually change the layout of the board, so you don't need to change anything really. Well, it changes the PCB of the board, but where all the components are still stays the same, right? So you can sort of have like silent memory topology revisions without having to really change anything about the board. And as far as I know, Gigabyte isn't the only manufacturer to do it, but they're the only manufacturer that I have reliable information about when they do it. So, yeah. But other than that, what is this in terms of memory? Because this looks Hynix. I'm going to go Hynix because of the TRFC. And then we've got 16, 19, 19, 37, 2T. I'm surprised your TRAS isn't lower. 6, 4, 4, 6, 8. TFAW at 16, good. TCK, good. Yeah, no, this looks... Yeah, this looks pretty typical Hynix. I guess you could try add 2 more Hynix sticks to it, and it, like, even with the bad topology, like, at the very least, it won't get worse. Like, I don't think you'll get stuck at 3200 or something like that. But, yeah, the Gigabyte Z390 lineup is just, like, kind of a lottery. Because the early boards were really, really quite awful in terms of memory overclocking, in my experience. So, though I never got to try like a better Z390 Aorus Pro. Anyway, let's move on to the next timings. We have a... what? Isn't that a laptop CPU? It's also invalid. But anyway, yes. Zen Timings is having a great time reading this. Is this even DDR5 or is this LPDDR5? Ooh, we have some extra information. Hynix 8i dual rank passes VT3 for days. I think if your memory's at 5600, I would push the Infinity Fabric to like 2166 or something. Yeah, like your SoC voltage is really low. ESOC can be pushed higher, but it taps into the power budget of the CPU and drops performance. Man, the intricacies of laptop tuning. TREFI can't be adjusted. Had to swap motherboard and the chip a while ago due to corrupted BIOS chip and got a truly awful CPU. The old one could do 6000 at 1.1. I mean, 1.2. That's pretty normal. Oh, you mean this one's awful? Yeah, yep, this is awful. Oh, you can't tune TREFI? I mean, so here's the thing. Usually I don't really pay, like I'm loosey-goosey with my TRFC settings, but that's because you can like crank the refresh interval. If you can't crank the refresh interval, I would actually probably try to push the TRFC as low as possible. Because right now, your refresh interval, like your refresh cycle, is taking like 5% of your available memory clock cycles. And I think with 8i at 5600, you might be able to run TRFC at like 400 or less, which will free up like 1% of your clock cycles, which doesn't sound like a lot, but it's not exactly nothing. So I'd say worth it. And then your other timings are, yeah, like this. I mean, I'm kind of wondering if RDRD SCL might not do 3, but at 5600. Because you can do like 6400 with 4, right? So I might be overly optimistic on this, but let's go grab a calculator. 4 divided by 64 times 56. Oh, nope. Okay, 3 probably won't work. Oh, I have another calculator. Nope, go away. Interesting setup, though. Yeah, but I don't really have any, like, I have zero experience with this, so I don't really know what to do about it. You could also... Wait, what memory voltage are you at? But you should be, I think even if you're at relatively low voltages, you should be able to lower the TCL. TRCD RD doesn't really scale with voltage, so you should be able to run like probably 35 TRCD. Again, not going to make a huge difference, but like, if you're trying to squeeze this to the limit, like I would try lowering the primaries a bit because they don't scale like they don't require. Usually they don't require like the only one that really scales with voltage is TCL. So you shouldn't like the fact that you can't use a ton of voltage shouldn't really matter too much. Also, you do have a dual rank. Is this dual rank? Dual rank, yeah. If you're on a dual rank setup, I would actually go and set the SD/DD timings, right? Like I would think 6688 is going to work. If you're at 5600, even less than that might work. Oh boy. Started scrolling in the chat, jumped a bunch, and I don't know where I was. Okay, I found where I was. Okay, I think, how long have we been going? An hour and 20 minutes. I might have to stop any more submissions at this point, because this is otherwise never going to end. I did not think this through. Okay, we got another DDR4 setup. Wait, did I? Oh no, that's just on my end that I couldn't see. Okay, so we got 3800 Hynix 16 gigabit C die. Interesting. Oh wait, I have some of that stuff. It's garbage. Okay, no, well, it's not great. So yeah, garbage. Anyway, wait, is it C die? No, I think I have J. Because Hynix for DDR4, this is DDR4, right? Yes, yes, it is. So Hynix for DDR4, you have like 16 gigabit A die, which, if I'm not mistaken, is really good and can be found in like, well, really good. In the grand scheme of 16 gigabit ICs that aren't Micron 16 gigabit B die, um, it's like the second best thing as far as I know, because I think G.Skill was making like 4800 rated kits with 16 gigabit A die Hynix. C die, I don't know very well. We're on a Prime X570 Pro, 3800, 1900 FCLK. Yeah, primaries. This seems like the primaries seem really similar to what I had with like I have some 16 gigabit Hynix chip that I think is JDI, which might be same as CDI. But yeah, it basically did the like primaries were like that, and it didn't really scale with voltage. Um, I think my TRFC was worse, or maybe I'm misremembering that. But yeah, so the TRFC is not like disastrous, so that's nice. Like it's not amazing, but you know, there's worse memory chips out there. And then TRRDs are good. WTRS, WTRL good. SCLs are weirdly loose. Does 4 not work? Because in my experience, like basically everything does 4. And then like 2.2 sometimes works on some boards, or like 3.3. But usually 4 works, and 4 is sort of optimal because wait, is it optimal? No, that's the wrong word. But yeah, like I would probably try setting these to 4. Because I'd be very surprised if 4 didn't work. VDIM 1.35 VTT at 0.7. 9 hours stable. Oh wait. Oh wait, this is the XMP. I'm dumb. Am I dumb? No, he has it at 4.4. Now I'm confused. Why do you do this to me? I've been streaming, like, I've been looking at memory timings for an hour and, like, well, basically an hour because the start of the stream didn't really have anything. You can't do this. Get confused. Switched. Wait. SCLs turned out to be unstable at 4.4. But there's no errors here. Or here. Oh, but this is back to 5.5. Okay, sure. Wait, VDIM causes rollover? Oh my. Does anything else scale with VDIM? Well, this is certainly something. Yeah, I don't remember the like, cuz I do have some 16 gigabit Hynix that's like DDR4, but I don't remember enough about it. Well, I guess it could be worse. You could have C die. Get stuck at like 3600 with the same primaries. Okay, next set of timings. We have a 7700X doing 6000 at 1.21 volts SoC, very high FCLK, on a B650M DS3H. I mean, for a 7700X, that board is perfectly good. And then subtimings 30, 36. Man, this looks very similar to what I have in my daily right now in terms of primaries. Actually, like literally exactly the same. TRD SL. Actually, a lot of this is very similar to my daily system. I mean, I'm not running FCLK at 2200 just because of the, like, I don't really want to take chances with it. But I probably could if I really wanted to. Because the 7800 X3D in my daily system does actually, like, do very high FCLK. That's, like, the one thing it's good at, is FCLK. And then everything else is terrible. But anyway, TRD's 6632. What? Why? Why not 24? Like, you're already tuning your TRDs. What's with the 32? WTRs make sense. TWR makes sense. TRFC makes sense. TREFI maxed out. SCLs are loose. And then, wait, what? 8 gig sticks. Oh. Yeah, if you're on 8 gig sticks, I would really, like, try to get the TFAW as, because you have less bank groups. So, like, the TRDL time, well, okay. Yeah, TRDL and, like, your TFAW, like, these start to matter more. And then your SCLs, like, I would, yeah, like, 4.2. There's, like, no way it doesn't work at 4.2. RDWR14, okay, that makes sense. Yeah, so really the only thing I'd change is the TFAW. Like, I'd set it to, like, 24 or even 20. And then your IDA results, I've not really, like, your latency looks fine. I've not run IDA in well, mainly I don't pay attention to the bandwidth in bandwidth readings in IDA when running it on Ryzen 7000 because that write bandwidth is physically impossible. Completely impossible. Like, this is probably like okay, not 3 times. It's like, it's more than double the physical limits of write bandwidth that a 7700X can have. So, yeah, like, because of that, I just don't trust the bandwidth readings in IDA. But the latency, like, that test still works for what little it's worth. So, yeah, like, the only thing, like, I just don't get the TFAW, and I don't get the SCLs here. Everything else looks completely reasonable. So, yep. Next timings. Okay, you know what? I am going to close submissions at this point. And I did not think of how I was going to do that, so I might open them again if, like, I get through the queue before there. Yeah, if I get through the queue before, like, I don't want the stream to go for more than 2 hours. I don't, well, I'll run out of content. People will run out of timings to submit if I could do all of them today. So 8 GB Hynix MDI daily is what we just looked at. Okay, so apparently we have an XMP profile coming up next. And I am having... Okay, cool, we go. There we go. Yep, that is an XMP profile. This is terrible. Okay, so... oh, can I actually... You know what? I'll leave the instructions up if people want to, like, prepare screenshots for, like, future reacting to RAM timing streams, or if I decide to open submissions again. But, like, yeah, like, don't super chat anymore or more timings, because I don't know if I'll get to them today. And I'd feel bad about it if, you, like, paid me money to look at something and then I didn't look at it. So, what do we have? Like 6400, 96 gigs, 1.3 volt SoC voltage. So that makes sense. Wait, 7600. What is this system? Why does the 7600X need so much RAM? Do you have some kind of like design software that like runs on one core, which does like that is a thing. There's like certain workstation applications that are horrifically optimized, or more like not optimized at all, and they still use a bunch of RAM, but then they like run on one core. So a 7950X wouldn't actually do you any favors. But like this doesn't make any sense because that's a really expensive board. That would make sense for a workstation because it has like 10 gig LAN and a bunch of PCIe slots and stuff. And the memory makes sense for a workstation, but the CPU doesn't. But anyway, yeah, so 96 gigs at 6400. So that's that's impressive. 2200 FCLK. And then like look, if you're running workloads that are memory bandwidth sensitive, these like your are like SCL, not like the SCLs being at 9 and 25 is bad, very bad. Like you're literally better off dropping the memory speed and running SCLs at like 4.4 than 6400 with trash SCLs. And also, since you're on a dual rank setup, you should set your same DIM, different DIM timings as well, right? So like 8 8 8 8 as a starting point, but probably 6 6 8 8 will work for those. So yeah, I wouldn't change anything about if your FCLK is actually stable at 2200 at 1.3 SoC, then like I wouldn't change anything about that, but I have my doubts about that being stable. But like I don't have the system in hand, so there's not really any way for me to check that. Primaries don't look XMP. You changed your TRAS. But other than that, sensible. TRDs make sense. WTRs kind of loose. TWR, okay. TRFC, why did you not do anything to TREFI? That's the thing I don't get. Like this is a pretty like low TRFC, and then like you do realize that you could have literally left TRFC on auto and set TREFI to like 30,000, and that would actually be better than what you have here. I'm actually not sure if the TRFC ends up over 1,000 on auto, but you could have like TRFC 700 and a refresh interval at like 40,000 or 30,000, and that would just be faster than 540 with 12,000 refresh interval. So like of all the timings, like you change TRAS, which okay, fair enough, that's really unlikely to cause instability. TRC, which okay, that again, fair enough, that's probably not going to cause any issues. And TRFC. And your TRFC is actually like I don't think you could go much lower before this was a problem. So this doesn't make any sense to me. Why? Like unless you have atrocious memory temperatures, in most circumstances, you can just set TREFI to 65,000 and it just works. So I don't get why, of all the things you would change, TRFC would be the one. But yeah, TRFC doesn't. See, that's my point. Like, he went and minimized TRFC, and everything else is bad. Except TRC and TRAS, which don't do that much. So, like, don't know what TREFI. Scared of memory corruption. Well, if your memory sticks are at like 50 degrees or less, you can run like 50,000 refresh interval. Or if you're really paranoid, I guess you could go with like 30,000 or like 32,000. But honestly, I would like fix all the other timings too. Like the SCLs make a big difference to memory bandwidth. Like a big difference. And you just have them like on auto, which is just not good, like at all. Oh yeah, actually TRD, and L are probably on auto. Actually, L is probably not on auto because that usually defaults to 12 in my experience. Though maybe MSI is doing that differently. So yeah. Anyway, so those are timings that we have now seen. The thanks, Elias, for the 50 Norwegian kroner and or crowns. I'm gonna go with crowns for that. Anyway, Hynix DJR next. Wait, I hope I didn't miss anybody. Because that would suck. Okay, so this is an interesting set of timings. Yep. Z590. Not something you see very often. 4,000. This is in 1-to-1 mode. That is impressive. Because yeah, my experience with Z590 and 1-to-1... Wait, is this... What CPU is this? Is it 10th gen or 11th gen? Because if this is 10th gen, then this is kind of, yeah, whatever. If it's 11th gen and it's in 1-to-1 mode, that's all, yeah, like, that's impressive. Because my experience with 1-to-1 mode is that it, like, hard walls at, like, 3800 on my 11900K. I do only have one CPU for 11th gen. So... And I've not tested, like, and I've tested it with, like, EVGA and Gigabyte boards. And that's it. I haven't tried it on Asus boards. Anyway, so single rank DJR, 16, 22, 22. Yep, that, like, DJR's TRCD just doesn't go anywhere, unfortunately. Read to read, I mean, man, RRDs, they're not read to read. They're activate to activate. It should really be TAA, not TRRD. But anyway, so yeah, the activate to activate timings are 4-4, so good. Tfault at 16, good. TCWL at 15. That's a bit weird because usually you can run it 2 ticks bill. Wait, was it? There's some Intel motherboards where TCWL has like this really specific relationship to TCL where it's like if you set it to anything other than like, I think it's like 1 tick down. So this might be one of those where it's like, yeah, you set it to anything other than 1 tick lower than TCL and it just will not post. So I'm going to guess that's one of the, like this is one of those. RTP at 6, WR at 6, which is WR pre at 25 and RD pre at 6. The nice thing with Asus boards is actually in the BIOS, the RTP timing setting is the RD pre timing setting. What's kind of also funny to me about the RTP to and RD pre is RD pre in the Intel documentation is literally described as read to precharge, and RTP, the T is for 2 because it's read to precharge. So I am honestly really confused as to why like Intel has this situation of like there's an RTP register and an RD, or there's not an RTP register, but there's like an RTP setting on a lot of motherboards, and there's also an RD pre setting. When it's like Asus just takes the RD pre setting and like it's just hidden under the RTP setting in the BIOS. But then you have like Gigabyte and MSI where you have like a separate RTP and an RD pre setting. And on some BIOS versions for Gigabyte boards on like Z690, the RTP time, like if you tried to set RTP, it would just make the board not post. Which is just like, why? Like this is anyway. So that's completely irrelevant to the timings at hand. But yeah, 6-4, 11-11, not wait. Oh yeah, yeah, that makes sense. DDR4. Yeah, 6-4, 11-11, 6-4, 11-11, 28-24. Yep, looks good. And then everything not relevant to a single rank setup is set to 0. One weird thing that I ran into is if you go from like these single rank settings where you have all of your different rank, different DIMM timings set to like 0 or 1, and then you add extra memory sticks into it, you'd think it would not post. But what I've seen happen sometimes with systems is that it does post and the performance is atrocious. And I don't get why that happens because it doesn't really make any sense. Like to me, it would make sense if it didn't post because your like different rank, different DIMM timings are set impossibly low. But I guess the memory controller just tries to work around it somehow, and you end up with horrendous performance if you don't set your DRDD timings correctly for a multi-rank setup after. If you go from like a single rank setup where you set them all to like 0 or 1. So, yeah. Though that's not like a super likely scenario for most people to run into. Yeah, so like for a DJ, like this looks sensible to me. for a DJR setup. And then if it's on 11th gen and it's 1-to-1 mode, that's pretty impressive. And if it's on 10th gen, I'm surprised that you're not running like 4266 or 4400 or even 4600. If you have a good 10th gen CPU with DJR, like 4600 shouldn't be too much of a problem. Though I'm not sure. Nah, I think that's a daisy chain board. Yeah, so a daisy chain Asus board, I'd imagine you could probably do. Okay, maybe not 4600, but 4400 with DJR on 10th gen. I would not. I wouldn't be surprised if that worked. Anyway, next timings. We have a cursed setup next. Mismatched memory sticks. There we go. Eight gigabit AFR can do 3733. I thought it usually maxed out at like 3466. Though I guess AFR was mostly. I guess that might be from like Ryzen 2000 days, because that's when like AFR was most relevant. Because at the time, like Micron was like wasn't a thing. Like you didn't really consider Micron DDR4 for a Ryzen system like at all. Because if I remember correctly, like walled at like 30, like it was really hard to go past like 3200 or something. But yeah, I thought 8 gigabit AFR kind of sucked in terms of memory speed. So I'm kind of surprised that like you're running it at 3733. That's kind of cool. And then your TRFC is just Micron TRFC. TRRDS and ooh. Yeah, that TRRDL is not great. That TFAW is worse. I'd really tried to do something about that, but with these mismatched setups, and the funny thing is, like, I had really bad experiences with Micron EDI and trying to tune the TFAW timing as well as the TRRDs. So yeah, like with this, I might be just happy if it works, to be completely honest. WTRS 512, yeah, WTRs are. This kind of looks auto to me. SCL's at 4.4, cool. SDDD 5.7, yep, that makes sense. SoC is kind of high, but, you know, we're looking at a kind of cursed setup here. And you're on a B450 board. Honestly, I am impressed that you have, like, 3733 working on a 4x8 setup of Hynix AFR and Micron EDI. Like, I am impressed. Because I wouldn't have expected this to work. Like, I wouldn't have expected this to work on, like, a high-end board, and you're doing it on a B450 Gaming Pro Carbon. Now, admittedly, MSI's B450 boards, like, the daisy chain topology on those is actually quite solid. Like, it's not as good as, say, some of the 6-layer daisy chains that you get on, like, B550 or X570, but it's still better than, say, Gigabyte's attempt at a 4-layer daisy chain topology for B550. Off the top of my head. So, yeah. This is a interesting setup. Oh, I guess by having each of the memory sticks on that, I guess. Yeah, I guess that could help the memory controller deal with this. Also, your termination settings are interesting to look at. Which, yeah, that makes sense when you're running, like, a weird memory setup like this. But, yeah, I guess having the, like... Yeah, so you have the 2 Micron sticks on the same channel and the 2 Hynix sticks on the same channel. Which makes sense that would work best, because, right, if, if the Hynix memory chips have, like, very different signaling behavior from the Micron memory chips, then the memory channels are relatively... I'm not sure how... Like, the memory channels can be quite independent. So, like, one of the channels could basically calibrate itself during memory training for the Hynix chips, and the other one can calibrate itself for the Micron chips, and you're good. Whereas, I don't know if you tried this, but I would imagine if you put one Hynix stick and one Micron stick together on the same channel, this would run way worse. is my guess. Or it might still work okay. Like, that's the thing, is you never like, certain mismatched memory chip setups can actually work okay. But you just never know until you put it together and then it doesn't, right? So, yeah, but this is impressive. I mean, the timings aren't, but like the fact that this works at all, impressive. Um, that's cool. Um, okay, next timings. I have a apparently cursed 96 gig setup. I am confused as to what could be cursed about one of those, because you don't really have a lot of options in terms of memory chips as far as I know. So, what did you do? Oh, okay. I see. Speaking of Gigabyte's 4-layer daisy chain topology, or at least an attempt at it for B550. So, what memory chips are these? No, wait, I'm being stupid. Okay, so we have a Corsair. So you're doing the same thing where you have like, yeah, one kit on each channel. Oh man, with this setup, that's actually like, from a like making it work perspective, makes sense. But there is an issue with this, because what will happen is, for the first 64 gigs of memory, you have dual channel. And then when you hit the last 32 gigabytes, you're in single channel, because you have 64 gigs of memory on one channel and you have 32 gigs of memory on the other channel, right? So like, for the first 32 gigabytes, the memory controller can use both memory channels at the same time, and then when you hit the last 32 gigabytes, you go to single channel. Now, obviously, if you have an application that needs a ton of RAM, even single channel DDR4 is way faster than the page file, right? So if you have like video editing or some big 3D modeling thing or CAD or whatever, where like the thing needs, I don't know, 80 gigabytes of memory, having 96 gigs of mismatched RAM where it sometimes runs in single channel mode is still way better than if, like, let's say 16 gigs of your model were sitting on your SSD, right? Because your SSD, really freaking slow, regardless of what PCIe generation it is. Um, so, um, yeah, like, this can make sense depending on the application. But it is cursed. That is very true. This is definitely not ideal. Um, and then in terms of settings, we're looking at, this actually looks pretty reasonable in terms of timings. I mean, yeah, we're at 3466, but 4-layer daisy chain Gigabyte board. And then the like worst possible scenario in terms of memory configuration. Because this is quadrank. Like, not only is this mismatched memory ICs. Wait, is it mismatched memory ICs? Yeah, that's a B-die kit, and this is Corsair that I'm that's not a, yeah. So we've got a B-die kit, and I'm guessing like it can't be B-die because this is 32 gigs. So really mismatched quadrank memory setup. Amazing, lovely. Your memory controller has to be a big fan of your memory setup. Anyway, yeah, in terms of the actual timings, though, primaries are like whatever the weakest kit does, and yep. I'm going to go with Micron. Yeah, that's going to be Micron, isn't it? Especially with that TRFC of 606. And then, yep, also the TRC, but TRD's 5.6, TFAW 20 makes sense. WTR's cool. SCLs are good. I mean, yeah, SCLs are good. TCWL is, I'm surprised that that's not lower, but honestly, that's fine. You are pushing the RDWR to 8, so yeah, that makes sense. And you set your same DIM, different DIM timings. I would assume the read-to-read timings might be able to go a bit lower than 6, though. But yeah. This is cursed. I am surprised that it works. But if you need more RAM, yeah, this is certainly an option. So, next set of timings. Well, a Ryzen 7000 setup. We got a 6200 CL28. So probably like 1.5-ish on VDD, and then VDDQ probably like 1.45. Actually, so maybe like 1.55 VDD. I'm not sure how the voltage scale like works once it's bugged out. We're on a Strix B650E-E motherboard. See, this is a motherboard that I do find kind of interesting because it's the cheapest board that Asus makes that has a postcode, which is a very specific criteria. But actually, the feature set on that board is kind of cool. The main issue I have with it is that it's kind of expensive for what it is. But because it doesn't like, and but by that I basically mean like the B650E Taichi Lite has a clock gen and a worse PCIe slot layout. So yeah, like interesting board. Not a board you see very often, but kind of cool. I mean the postcode is cool. The lack of ECLK less cool. The price tag also less cool, but evidently it can do solid memory settings. 2200 FCLK, 1.27 SoC, an entire day of Karhu, and then single rank 4.2, RTP12. Yep. Minimized TRFC, and RTP. I mean RP. No, RTP's over here. I don't. That's actually probably minimized. Like I've heard some kits can apparently do 10, but I've not had that work ever. On Yeah, not on Ryzen. I think on Intel it might. Anyway, yeah, RP at 30, which is minimized. TRAS at 30, TRC at 60. Makes sense. RRDs at 4.816. With this much voltage, I'm surprised that you wouldn't try like RDL at like 6 or something, because that could probably work. Not that it would make a big performance difference, but like you'd put all this effort into your TRFC. Or actually, 372, I think this might be copied off of some like expected timings for Hynix 8i thing, isn't it? But still, like that is like it is as like it's not going to go much lower than this. TREFI 65,535, which kind of like this kind of makes the TRFC setting basically irrelevant, but yeah. So yeah, good settings. And evidently very stable. So, though I did that FCLK, it's just, I have doubts about that much SoC voltage. Then again, like maybe I just don't have enough like different CPUs to see like the full range of possible behaviors. Yeah. And the main issue I have with like high FCLK with Ryzen 7000 is that it doesn't crash or error. It just causes weird glitchy behavior. Like you'll have audio cutouts and stuttering at random. So that's like something to sort of like, so if you're pushing high FCLK and you notice like your audio cutting out randomly, and it's like, and when I say cutting out, it's like brief, just like cuts, because like for a couple milliseconds you basically lose audio. So yeah, if you're pushing high FCLK and you're noticing like weird glitchy audio sometimes and that kind of thing, it could be because your FCLK isn't stable. And one way you can actually sort of force that to be more visible is to run like a stress test like Y-Cruncher or maybe Prime 95, and then play music at the same time. And if the music is like cutting out, your FCLK is not stable. So I guess you don't necessarily need to play music. You could play like a 1 kilohertz tone, right? From like a tone generator website or something and see if that cuts out. Might be easier to tell, but yeah, that is that's like the main reason I on my daily system don't run the FCLK as 2200 is like I know that this CPU can do it. But it does require more finesse than like say 2166 basically always works. I've not seen 2166 on this CPU have any issues ever. 2200 on the other hand is like that can sometimes not work, and I'd rather not have to figure out if it's working or not. So yeah. Anyway, good settings though. Yeah, this is like a die basically maxed out. Is it? Yeah. And compatibility posted again. Okay, this time hopefully I don't mess up. Damn it, YouTube, cooperate. I really hope I don't find out right now that I screwed up the first time around. Oh, I probably screwed up the first time around. Yeah, I think I copied the link wrong last time. Wait, you have two different settings. Well, we can take a look at both of them. I'm not like, especially since I screwed up the copying your link the first time around. Like, there. Okay. So this first step setup, we've got a 6950X running just 3000. Oh, it's CL12 on an X99 SoC Champion, but it's a 6950X. Like, I would have tried like 3200 at CL13. Actually, 3200 at CL12. If you have good, I'm not sure about X99, but like the memory sticks themselves should be able to do CL12 at like 1.5 volts if they're good. And then we do not have memtweak it. We instead have just, oh, we have Asrock timing configurator. I guess that works well enough. So we got 12, 12, 12, 24. 2T command rate. I'm not experienced at, like, is this stable? Oh yeah, this is stable. Or like it's somewhat stable. Like 2 hour, I don't consider 2 hours to be, you know, a bomb-proof stress test, but yeah, that is a meaningful stress test. That's not nothing. And 12, 12, 12, 24 to N, WR8, TRFC 200. Yep, B die at DDR4 3000. That makes sense. 4, WTR at 2, 6, RTP 3, TFOS 16, TCK 6. Yeah, this is slammed. I'm surprised. I think TCWL might work at 8. How much voltage is this? You can't even be running that much memory Wait, what? You need 1.5 for 3012? I guess maybe just X99 things? Because I was doing like 3200 CL12 on like Ryzen with like 1.55 or something. Oh, that might make sense. That actually makes sense, maybe. Yeah, okay. Okay, that might make sense. Because that like 200 megahertz, 200 mega transfers, you get the idea. Like 200 magic memory speed units. Yeah, that makes sense. Why is the TREFI not 32,000 though? Like if I remember correctly, the X99 TREFI register maxes out at 32,000. Why is it at this random number that's not 32,000? That I don't get. It's not like it's going to make a big difference at this point, because like, you know, like going from 29,000 to 32,000, kind of the same thing. Also, the TRFC is very low, but yeah. And then the Encore's at 3600. Man, that's I wonder if, like, Intel... Like, I wonder if that got, like, blocked or something. Because on Haswell E, you could run very high Encore clocks if you, like, fed extra voltages into the CPU. And then, like, I'm wondering if, like, was that an unintentional, like, exploit and then Intel blocked it? Or did it just stop working with, like Broadwell E just doesn't behave like that anymore? I wonder about that. But yeah, cool to see some X99 settings. Though with a 6950X, like, I feel like a 6950X shouldn't have too much trouble running higher memory speeds than this. As far as I know. Not that like I don't it wouldn't be a whole lot faster if you were at like 3200 or 3400, and it would be way more difficult to stabilize. And X99 can be a massive pain to stabilize. But yeah. Cool. Cool settings. And the second one, we've got a Z490 Dark. Okay, now you're just being stupid with this. Why? What is this? I don't care what CPU you have. You're not running it at 3200 and telling me this is a good idea. You have an 11900K. Like, yeah, in 1-to-1. Oh, you have an 11900K on Z490. As far as I know, the Z490 Dark, like, really, like, doesn't have great support for 11th gen. I could be wrong about that. But last I heard, it was not good with 11th gen, which would explain the memory timings look like the memory settings looking like they belong on X99. That would explain everything. Actually, what board was this? Oh, wait, no, that was the X99 SoC Champion, right? I wonder what the -CF stands for. Does that just always show up with the Champion? Anyway, I'll look that up later. But yeah, so I guess this is the whole this is like not a thing that most people probably are aware. Like, yeah, this is one of the issues with EVGA's motherboards, is that like sometimes they would just not support things properly, like at all, and then you'd end up. And I'm guessing that's what we're seeing here, right? Yeah, you are correct. Read the description. Test setup. Main issue is no VCCIO2. Though this might actually be a physical limitation of the board. I don't like it might literally not have the like, because if I'm not mistaken, VCCIO2 is like they took the VCCIO pins and split it into two separate voltage regions. So maybe just like you might like, yeah, because I've not I don't know the pin out and I've not compared it, but I would assume the Dark literally doesn't have it literally doesn't have the VCCIO2 regulator, so you can't have a VCCIO2 voltage. I would assume that the VCCIO regulator now serves double duty, where it powers both the VCCIO2 region and the VCCIO region. And the problem with that is that if you set VCCIO above like 1.45, okay, that's for a 10th gen though, so I don't know how 11th gen would react to that. But if you set you can roll over, ring stability with too high VCCIO. So, and what VCCIO are you running here? It does wait. VCCIO 1.2. I would try bump that to like 1.4 and see what happens. Like that shouldn't break anything. 1.4 IO, but and it might help with the memory speed. Because yeah, that is a thing on 11th gen that like you need like crazy high VCCIO2 voltage to run high 1-to-1 mode. So that's not even like a BIOS issue, because the thing is EVGA also had like say the X299 Dark, like it physically has all the necessary features to support a 7740X. Please do not run a 7740X in painful. Oh boy, that board is so bad with a 7740X. But yeah, this I think is literally just like the board physically doesn't have the IO2 regulator, so probably actually it might also be like VCCSA that does it. So yeah, I'd basically try bump VCCIO to 1.4, see if the max memory clock improves. If it doesn't, I'd bump VCCSA to 1.4, see if the max memory clock improves. If it doesn't, I'd try bump both of them to 1.4. If it still doesn't improve, I'd give up. Now, in terms of the timings, those look good. But yeah, like with a Z490 Dark, I would probably just run a 10th gen. And this is single rank, right? Oh no, this is dual rank. I am pretty sure that your dual rank timings are not optimized. But it's been a long time since I've messed with 11th gen. But I'm pretty sure these are not ideal. I feel like I should be looking at a bunch of 6s. And that's a 10, and that's a 13. Actually, this one, no, yeah, that doesn't really, yeah, no. Oh, wait, no, the RDWRs, those, no, I think those still go below their same group, different group values. Might be misremembering that. It's been a while. Anyway, have I gotten through all of the timings? Wait. How many wait, I can't scroll up more? Oh, dude. Oh, no. Well, oh, and I don't have timestamps. You've got to be kidding me. There's no timestamps on the, like, chat. So I don't know if people are violating the submissions are closed thing. Because I don't know when, I don't know when stuff is getting posted. But anyway, I found this. Man, I hope I didn't miss any super chats. Do I have a way to... Well, I don't see a way. Okay, well, let's take a look at this. We've got a 10th gen setup. Finally, the last time Intel made a good memory controller instead of cursed memory controllers. Oh, but it's on DJR. Wait, did you just say that you only tuned the primaries? Yep. Only the primaries. Oh boy. With DJR. Is this... I'm pretty... Yeah, this is G.Skill. 4800... Oh no. Please tell me this memory kit. Like, I really hope you didn't overspend on that memory kit, because the noob trap DJR kits are just like, well, yeah, they're a noob trap. So 18, 26, 26, 46 DJR things. Also, I think that TRS could probably go lower. 1.55 volts on the memory. SGDG, these can go lower. As in, like, I'd try 4, 6. Yeah, like 4. I'd try 4, 6. TRFC, I want to say... I'd probably try like 600 or 700 or 800 for that. Refresh interval, I would just max that out unless you have like issues with the memory sticks getting too hot. TWR probably works at 12. RTP, honestly, I'd actually like the 12. I like it might do 8, but I'd like the 8 and 12 kind of close enough together. T-Fault 16, right? Like always 16, unless you're on Ryzen 7000, in which case it's 20. But yeah, so T-Fault to 16. TCWL doesn't really matter that much, so I'd leave it alone. SGDG, those are fine. The read to write, these should be able to go lower. Write to read, those should go lower. I'd probably like 32 and like I'd try like 32 and like 28 initially, and then keep trying to lower them further. Like yeah, like these should bottom out somewhere. Like this one should stop around somewhere around like 30, and this one should bottom out somewhere like mid to low 20s, I think. And this is single rank, right? Yeah, it's got to be. Or well, it doesn't have to be on an Apex, but it is. So, yeah, DJR. I really hope you didn't spend more than like $100 on that, cause it's bad. Yeah, like yeah, because at the time that these kits were available, you could I think that was around the time you could get the Viper Steels for like 110, right? The 4400 CL19 Viper Steels, um, or 120, something like that. So yeah, if you spent more than like 100 and like the issue is like it's slower than Sam's like B die, right? So even if it's like, well, oh, it was like the same price as a Viper Steel kit, it's like, yeah, so you still got ripped off because the Viper Steel kit is faster. Um, right? Yeah. So the like, oh, my XMP is like 4800 CL20, and it's just like, but it's literally like just like, actually, I think out of the box it might be faster than a 4400 CL19. Actually, no, it won't be because your TRCD is so bad. Yeah. So even out of the box, it'll be terrible, and then if you tune it, it'll be worse. Um, so if you paid the same, like if you paid as much for this as like it would probably beat a 3200 CL14 kit, probably. Yeah, it might have actually like it might beat a 3200 CL14 kit, just because the 3200 CL14 is clocked so very low, but. Yeah, from like after tuning, this just gets absolutely destroyed by B die. Especially in single rank, because in single rank the timing advantage matters more than in dual rank. Because in dual rank, the memory controller can kind of hide some of the memory latency by interleaving the memory access more between the two ranks. But if you only have one rank and that entire rank sucks, then you're screwed. If you have two sucky ranks, they suck. You know, like they suck as a whole. They suck slightly less. They can combine their mediocre powers to be somewhat better. Um, so yeah. Anyway, I think this is gonna be our last timings because yeah, it's over 2 hours now. Um, man, I really hope I didn't miss any super chats. I did not think through the why. Are you gotta be kidding. No? I am stupid. Really stupid. Why is this not working again? Hmm. No. Oops. Wait. Oh no. Okay. Good. Um. No. Why can't I call? Like, why isn't this link working? How do I keep running into this issue? Like, yeah, I can't get this one to work again. Can I like directly chat people or something so that I can? No. Hmm. Yeah, Elias, I'm very sorry, but I can't get that link to work. Um. Don't super chat again. Just like I'm now at the bottom of the chat because I've like got super lost. So if you want to try like just spam versions of the link, um, you have permission. You have permission to spam chat to get me to see it. Like if you could like I don't know try fix the link because I can't get it to work. Like the less stuff you put into your chat, the better. Like if it's just the end part of the link, that'll be ideal. Apparently, I'm very bad at copying things out. Oh, I guess it would help if I had the like had some kind of overlay showing the chat. That would be an idea, wouldn't it? Um, well, next time I guess I'll try to figure that out. Because I don't have like a way to directly message anybody or notify them somehow. Oh yeah, there's like the app thing. Wait, was that? I did it wrong, didn't I? Oh. Oh yeah, no, that didn't work. Stupid. There we go. Yeah, because like I thought that like just tapping the down arrow would automatically switch between them, and it just didn't. Because there was like two names, and I'm like down arrow, and it's like what? That's not right. Did you get the timestamps turned on? No. Is there a button for that somewhere? Ooh, I found it. Hey, I have timestamps. Now the only issue is I don't know when the submissions closed message went up. Um, so you know, he must have walked off. Yeah, well, wait. What time is it? Oh, it is 10:39. No, he posted like um 30 minutes ago. Like I don't know how you would be on this stream and assume that you would get your stuff like answered in less than like 30 minutes cuz like I evidently wasn't keeping up. Just go through his set. No, I can't because I can't get the link to work. I need him to post the link again. So because that's the whole issue. And I don't know how this happens cuz like earlier in like at the start of the stream there was an issue that some people have like links with a like there's like imgur.com/a/whatever, and then there's some people who have links that are like just slash whatever without the like slash a first. I don't know why, but that was an issue earlier in the stream. But like I've tried this link with both the a and without it, and it just doesn't go anywhere. It just goes 404. So like what am I supposed to do? He deleted the photos? I guess maybe. Well, that doesn't really make sense. And also, oh, I guess maybe if he noticed that like he missed the submission window, then he might have taken it down. Um. Well, okay. No, submissions are closed. I've been streaming for 2 hours. I don't really want to like do a freaking what, like 3-4 hour reacting to RAM timing stream and then like be non-functional for a day again. So yeah, I think actually, you know what? So does this format work? That is the question. Like, do people like this format? I do feel kind of bad about the like. I don't like. Here's the thing. My thought process on the super chats get priority thing, because like I feel bad about it. I don't like asking people for money, right? That's why I put all the like shout outs for my stuff at the end of the videos. I mean, recently I've been trying to sort of nudge people towards the links in the description at the start of the videos, but yeah, not a big fan of actually doing that. But basically my thought process was like, well, people are probably going to figure, like, you know, they're just going to assume that if they super chat, they're going to get priority. And so I figured I'd just make it a written rule of like, yeah, you will get priority if you super chat, because if I like, if I don't have that rule, like, I don't know. Put Google form next time. Get the results by timestamp. What? Maybe the first 50? No, I like. Wait, what first 50? Yeah, the thing is, like, I don't schedule my streams well enough. I don't want to deal with having a schedule where it's like, oh, we're streaming now, and then like people need to file in and submit, and then just also, I don't think we got through 50 submissions today. Yeah. So it's not going to be 50. You don't schedule streams. Yeah, I'm not going to schedule the stream, and if I don't schedule the stream, then like the beginning is going to be really slow, and then it's going to ramp up, and then it's just going to get completely out of control, and it's just like, okay, take a fixed amount of submissions? No, because like some submissions take significantly more time for me to get through. Also, I guess there is that greed component of like, yeah, if I just leave the super chats get priority up, I get more money. So I don't know, but the flip side to it is like, yeah, but I don't really want to do these for like ad revenue, to be completely honest with you, because I don't like the reacting to RAM timings videos kind of went away for a reason, which is like I don't really enjoy doing them very much. I think this will get pretty old as well. Like right now it was fine, but like if I wanted to be consistent, then I wanted to also like, I don't know, fund other parts of the channel instead of just being this like thing I do for basically free that I hate doing. I mean, not hate doing, but I'm like not a big fan of doing. So, how is the title clickbait? So, yeah, like the thing is with the super chats, like I don't want to, like there's no money, like how much you need to super chat, part of it. So, yeah, and I'm not going to prioritize by how much somebody's super chatted, because that's just going to be a nightmare to keep track of. So that's just not practical. It sounds like you hate doing it. I would assume most people hate their job. Because, quite frankly, pretty sure BZ would buy 10 more 290s instead of a single 4090. You're right about that. Does like I'll be honest with you, the chat revenue for the last 2 hours was like $105, which is like, yeah, I don't see a problem with that. If that was how these worked out every single time, then that's totally cool with me. And then I can do them like every weekend or something, is my thought process. I would love to have your job. like making a YouTube channel is free. And I don't even think it's like the job is the issue. I think it's just an issue of mostly me hating being me. It's not 50 an hour because you have the YouTube cut. I think more content creators don't hate their job, but it's still work. Yeah, I think the issue with me is that I don't really like the video part of it is just like I see that like I think most content creators are like they probably enjoy making videos on like a video production level, like, you know, they want to write a good script and they want to like shoot B-roll and have like good B-roll and have like a camera that's better, and then there's me where it's like hell no. It's just like if the audience can tell what I am pointing at, it is good enough. Next one is next week. Probably, yeah. Like I'll try do it weekly. The starting time might move around a bit and edit their videos. Yeah, like, you know. I mean, I don't know if people actually enjoy editing their videos. I think most people have video editors, but like yeah. So for me this is very much like because, like, the other thing is, and I guess the stream is, like, this is going really off track at this point. But, I mean, people can just tune out towards the end. But, like, it does annoy me to no end when, like, if I just look at my recent videos, right? We have the video, like, measuring the creator board. That actually did surprisingly well, the oscilloscope measurements on that. It got 4,500 views. I was expecting that to get like 2,000 views, but so that works well. The MSI board, that got like less than 4,000, which was actually, yeah, that's in line with my expectations. I had fun messing with the 980 Ti, but people didn't really like watching that. But what kills me is that the, like, me just aimlessly rambling about Intel's problems has 18,000 views, 12,000 views, 20,000 views, 26,000 views. Garbage. Trash. Why? Like, that's what just absolutely ruins, like, making other videos for me. Because it's just, like, it doesn't matter, like, what... Like, if it's not, like... Like, me finding some obscure power delivery thing interesting is just, like... I mean, I can get that most people don't find it interesting. But then it's like, yeah, but... Like... An aimless... Like, a completely aimless, unplanned, you know, zero effort video... or like negative effort video where I just like mess around with like some Intel BIOS issues. Don't even really try to offer any solutions because do I look like an Intel employee? Does it look like I have Intel's reliability data? I don't. That stuff's confidential. If I did have it, I couldn't share it with you anyway. So I can't offer a fix because like I don't know what's going on with the CPUs. It's like these CPUs seem to be like they're not stable at stock, and some are not stable at stock right out of the box. Others are degrading over time. And it's like, well, is it because of the temperature? Is it because of the voltage? How am I supposed to know? I have no idea. I don't work at Intel. Intel should know. Apparently, they're bloody clueless. Because it's been what? Like, they said like a month ago that, oh, we're going to fix this. Have they fixed it? No, they freaking haven't. The motherboard vendors are apparently also completely clueless. So, like, and that kind of, like, trash content of, like, look, everybody in this industry just can't be bothered to measure a damn thing, and nothing works. That gets views. and like, it frustrates me to no end. That, like, that's the kind of, content that, like, yeah, gets views. Still hasn't found the cause of the instability. I suspect that Intel knows exactly what the problem is, and they don't want to admit it because it would indicate that they screwed up. Like, my theory is that, because if you look at the vid tables on like a 14900KS or a bad 14900K, they go over 1.5 volts for the 6 gigahertz boost. I would not be too surprised if it turned out that there is no amount of time at which 1.5 volts is safe. And if that's the case, then Intel has shipped a lot of CPUs that are defective. So they're not like, so basically, because like I can't, because the thing is, like, they're going to run at that vid no matter how low you set, like that vid table that Asus gives you for a CPU is if you have no AC, if your AC load line is set to 0 and the VRM LLC is set to level 8, so 0 VDROOP. That is as low a vid request as the CPU will make for 6 gigahertz. And it's really high on some CPUs. And I've heard from, like, overclockers that apparent, like, you know, like, people, like, benching CPUs that, like, you can degrade 14th gen, 13th gen chips by just, like, 1.45 volts in single core benchmarks, which is, like, way below Intel's 6 gigahertz boost settings on a lot of CPUs. So if you can break a chip with pi prime at like 1.45 volts, 6 gigahertz at 1.5 is not good. So, but that's just a theory on my part. So hopefully I'm wrong about that. But but like the thing is, like, why are, like, because the thing is, the CPUs can't, like, instability is directly due to, like, either the CPU is running too hot or it's not getting enough voltage to be stable, right? That's why a CPU crashes. It's always either not enough voltage or it's too hot or both. Actually, it's never both because it's always one or the other, right? Like, if it's too hot, lowering the temperature makes it stable. If it's too low voltage, raising the voltage will make it stable. And with Intel 14th gen, like, I don't think it's a temperature issue because even at 115 degrees Celsius, you will see scaling. Like, if you just keep raising the voltage, it's not like Ryzen where at some point if you raise the voltage, the chip just loses all stability. Like, Intel 14th gen chips, you can keep raising the voltage and then you raise the temperature limit and they just keep going and they degrade. But so, yeah, I'm kind of wondering if, like, they know that the problem is that, like, the chips that are unstable at, like, the instability at stock is because the voltages are too low. And now they're running into the issue of, like, but the CPUs are also degrading. So we can't just raise the voltage because that'll kill the chips faster. And so it's been a month and they're like, yep, we don't have a fix. And it's like, because there might not be one. Low core scenarios? Yeah, but the thing is, you have people reporting degradation who are primarily gamers, right? And I refuse to believe that a couple hours of shader compilation significantly degrades a CPU, especially because if the CPU slams into the thermal limit, it runs at like 1.2 volts, right? Like, if you're hitting the thermal limit, a 14th gen is probably at like 1.2 to 1.3 volts. If your cooling is really bad, it's probably at like less than 1.2 volts. So, like, I would assume that most of the degradation probably doesn't happen at 100% load. And then it's like, oh, so it happens when the CPU is on full boost, which means the boost table, like the voltage table for the boost frequencies, is too high. But the CPUs are also crashing because the voltages aren't high enough. So you're screwed. Like, you just released a bunch of CPUs that, like, they degrade at the voltages they're currently at, and those voltages are currently not high enough to be stable. So it's like, how do you fix that? You don't. Unless Intel goes like, yeah, retroactively, your 14900K is now a 5.5 gigahertz CPU. That would fix it. That it won't degrade anymore. It won't, But like if you paid for a 6 gigahertz chip and then you get told that you're going to be shaving off 500 megahertz, like 12700K running 5 gigahertz all core for 2 years now. Yeah, but what voltages are you running for that? Because the thing is, like Intel's like the boost, like the 6 gigahertz boost tops out at like 1.5 volts or higher depending on the CPU. $7,500 F5550 at 1.28. Nice. It's not even cinematic. Like, the people are degrading these CPUs with freaking, like, Battlefield or something. Like, I refuse to believe that you, like every time you update your drivers, you need to recompile shaders. I don't think shader compilation is degrading these chips. Because that would mean you can significantly degrade one of these CPUs in like 20 hours on stock settings, which is like you would not be able to like not notice that in testing. Like if you had 100 chips, you would notice that they're degrading in like 24 hours of a stress test. Right? If shader compilation was heavy enough to degrade them that rapidly. I think they're like, yeah, 14900 KSs, you can get chips that have like 1.55 volts for 6.2. And then 14900Ks are pretty common at around 1.5 for 6. Yeah, like all core load uses way less voltage. So my theory is that it's the boost, like the high boost frequencies that causes all the damage. Because the other thing is like, well, the funny thing is I've seen a report from somebody that they had like a E-cores fail. Like just one of the E-core clusters died, which doesn't really make sense to me because I think the E-cores of all parts of the CPU would be the most resilient. But I've also heard from somebody else that like it's pretty regular that if they have a degraded CPU, it's usually just one of the P-cores that's just completely trashed. And if you turn that P-core off, the whole CPU, like the CPU is back to being completely fine. But then it's like, oh, so you're having like individual, which I guess still makes sense that like you could have individual. I'm not sure if they were specifically always the boost cores though, because you only have two P cores on 13th gen or 14th gen that hit the really high frequencies. But yeah, so I'm not sure. Like, you know, like again, like I don't have enough information on this, right? But that would be like my guess for why it's taking so long to find a fix for something that seems so trivial. Because like if you just want to fix the instability, you just raise the voltage until it's stable, right? Like it's like the kind of neat thing with 14th gen is like, yeah, you can actually just like if you're trying to run a frequency and it isn't stable, you can basically just keep raising the voltage until you hit the TJ max. And that by that I mean the 115 degree TJ max, right? Because you have the option in the BIOS to raise the TJ max to 115. Like, yeah, you can raise it to 115 and just keep raising the voltage until it's stable. So that'll fix your like basic stability issues. It's just like just raise the voltage. So if Intel is like, yeah, we don't want to tell people that they just need to raise the voltage, then it's like, and at this point we also have public acknowledgement that yeah, there's chips degrading. It's like, oh, so the instability is because the voltage isn't high enough, and the CPUs are degrading. So best case scenario is that the degradation is entirely because of the current limiting being completely turned off, right? Because both Gigabyte and Asus completely disable the ICC max, and they disable CEP, and they just disable all of the current protection. So there is the possibility that the degradation happens due to the excessive peak current draw and not because of the voltage itself. Maybe? I don't know. Like I don't know. Like the thing is the the CEP like reading the description of it, it kind of looks like it could limit peak current, without necessarily limiting voltage, right? So if CEP detects that, hey, there's this massive current spike, temporarily slow the core down to keep the current draw under control. But like, I don't know. Like I don't work at Intel, so I don't know how good how well CEP does whatever it does. It does some kind of current limiting, but why or how? Well, we know how. It drops the clocks, but why? I don't know. Um yeah, if it's high peak current, you could have like the power delivery, um like the metal layers handling the current like power distribution would be an issue, could be like degrading. um and then it wouldn't be, and then like the voltage, like you wouldn't necessarily have a problem of like the voltage itself being an issue, but when the core like ramps up, it's a problem because yeah. But I don't know enough about chip design to know if that's even like possible. um but it's called current excursion protection. So that's kind of like, that's what it implies to me. That's not to say that names for things are always accurate to how they actually work or what they do. Um, yeah, but the thing is, Intel needs a fix that doesn't require a bunch of manual tuning, right? Like that's the whole issue. Is like you can't just go like, oh yeah, you need to turn on all of the current limits, and then you have to manually do a vid offset to lower your operating voltages, and like you can still cause instability if you set the like vid offset too low, right? So um excursion would imply to catch spikes. Yeah, that was my thought process, is like, well, maybe it's like peak currents that are an issue instead of sustained average current. But like, I don't know. I don't know for sure because like I don't, like the Intel documentation doesn't say what kind of currents it's supposed to prevent. Um so, and why it needs to even do that, right? Like the thing is, if you have this thing called current excursion protection, it's like, okay, so it's protecting against something. Why? Because older CPUs didn't have that, as far as I know. Um, 14700K is way less affected. Like it's way, because the boost frequencies are a lot lower, the voltages are lower, and so it's far less common. Like there have been reports of 14700Ks having issues, um, but it is way less likely because you don't have the insanely high boost frequencies that the 14900K, 13900KS, 13900K, and 14900KS have. Um, 1.31 vCore and 0.4 offset. Yeah, that's way lower voltage. Yeah, 5 gigahertz at 1.31, I'm not surprised you wouldn't have any issues. That's way less voltage than what Intel uses for the vid tables. But anyway, like, yeah, like I'm not just so I do feel kind of like not great about the whole super chats get priority, but at the same time I do like money, which and I don't really like, like the actual like making content part of things is like I don't enjoy that. I don't necessarily I don't. Well, okay. See, this is the issue. It's like a novelty thing. Is like, well, I haven't done reacting to random timings in so long that like I'm not looking at the same B die setup, you know, every weekend for like several weeks straight. Um, but I think so. 14900 KS TVB on Apex Encore profile is 1.7. What? I mean, I don't have a 14900 KS and I don't want one. I want to have nothing to do with that platform. Like, I want to do as little with that platform as possible. Don't board partners set the LLC to least vdroop? Because I don't know. Like, I don't know. Like, I honestly don't know. Like, I know in my video with the, like, experimental fix, like, I'm setting the LLC to extreme and then the AC load line really low to match that. And it seems to work just fine. But, like, theoretically, it might cause instability, but then it's like, but CEP is turned on, so maybe it's like, it won't be unstable. I don't know. I don't, like, this is the issue. Like, Intel's documentation has a whole lot of, yeah, you can totally do this, and not a lot of, this is gonna cause problems. And what kind of problems you're gonna run into. Right? That's why I labeled my fix experimental, because it's like, I don't know. Like, this seems to work for me, but I have one CPU that I can test this with. So, you know, that's not exactly a statistically relevant sample size. NVIDIA and, like, AMD, AMD GPUs are different, but AMD CPUs, they use very shallow load lines. And NVIDIA GPUs basically don't have DC vdroop at this point. Like, they, like, from, like, an Intel perspective, they have 0 vdroop. And then you have Intel where it's just like, yeah, you know, your motherboard can have AC load line from whatever to whatever, and you're like, and it's just like, how is this a spec? Like, there's a voltage that the CPU needs to function correctly, and nowhere is it defined how it's supposed to get to that voltage. Anywhere in the documents. Whereas with NVIDIA is like, yeah, the average voltage on the GPU is X, and the acceptable, like, and NVIDIA's AC load line is very different from Intel's. It has, like, nothing in common with Intel's. But NVIDIA GPUs basically go, this is the average voltage, this is the AC load line, the end. Period. You do not get to play with these. Your AC load line is this, your average voltage is this, and, like, NVIDIA, like, requires that to such a, like, that's such a rigid rule that NVIDIA GPUs don't even bother trying to measure the voltage. Like, that's just not a thing they do. Like, when you look at the voltage readout on an NVIDIA GPU in, like, GPU Z, that's just what the vid, like, that's just the vid request to the voltage controller. That's not an actual measurement. And then there's Intel CPUs, where the CPU, for some reason, can't just request the voltage reading from the voltage regulator. So instead, the CPU has, like, this AC load line setting, which is used to, like, offset the vid based on how much current the CPU is pulling. And you also have the DC load line, which is used for calculating the power consumption. And it's just like, you could literally just ask the voltage regulator how much power it's outputting. Why do you have all these extra steps in here? Why? Like, AMD's Ryzen CPUs don't try to calculate their power consumption based on the current draw and some magical DC load line number. They just ask the voltage regulator how much power it's supplying. Because that makes sense. Which still isn't as accurate as NVIDIA's approach, which is to just use a damn shunt resistor. Just put a shunt. Measure the power draw before the voltage regulator. And then there's Intel, where it's like, yeah, AC load line for voltage offset, like, is used to change the vid based on how much current the CPU is pulling, instead of the voltage regulator just outputting the vid voltage. Because that would make too much sense. Yeah, so the slightly above 1.1 volts, that kind of depends how you measured it. So, yeah. Anyway, I don't know, man. I'm so not sure about the... I think this format is fine, and I won't change it unless people complain. You have any opinions on Cam 2? I mean, I haven't used it, so kind of hard to have opinions on it. It looks interesting. If it's actually better, then that's cool, and if it's not better, then that's dumb. I don't really care about the the limiting expandability is like that's a good thing. People should not be allowed to put 4 mismatched memory sticks of DDR5 together. Latest AMD and Intel platforms, I literally daily a 7800X3D. So, like the thing with like I wish Intel had just put out sensible 14th gen CPUs, because what bugs me about it is like 14th gen is really fast. Okay? Like for certain applications, it is just better than anything AMD has. Like a 7950X, if you care about gaming, is way worse than a 14900K. Like way worse, because AMD is still really far behind on instructions per clock compared to Intel. But why Intel had to go and make freaking boost tables that are like pushing the limits of silicon reliability? Why would you do this? Like, this doesn't make it, especially when you're so loosey-goosey with your platform spec. Right? Like, yeah, it didn't matter that Intel couldn't be bothered to validate motherboards when, you know, the chips ran at like 4 gigahertz because the voltages weren't that high. The difference between single core boost and all core boost was basically nothing, right? And so you didn't really have any concerns about, oh, the CPU might not be stable, the CPU might degrade the CPU. Like, none of this was really a concern with like Haswell, which is when multi-core enhancement was first made a thing. And then you get to 14th gen and it's just like, so you have these CPUs that are like really pushing the limits of the manufacturing process in terms of reliability. And then you have this platform spec that nobody checks if it's implemented correctly. The implementation guidelines are vague at best. And like, and now we have this whole situation where people are finding out like there's chips degrading, there's chips that aren't stable right out of the box. Like you buy a 14900KS and you stick it in a motherboard, chances are it probably won't be able to run Cinebench. And like, yeah, because and it's like, so personally, like I would probably go 14700K if I was going Intel, because that's like the CPU where like you can still get 14700Ks that aren't gonna, you know, work, but it's far less likely. And I'd still probably go and like try to minimize like detune, like try not to detune the CPU, but try get the voltages to be more sensible somehow. But like I don't even know what more sensible is, because like this is what the manufacturer is supposed to do, right? Like that's their whole freaking job, is to set the freaking voltage specs and frequency specs, and Intel's just like, nah, load line whatever you want to run, man. Like we're not even going to bother to check. And then it's like, oh, the chips are degrading. Oh, the system isn't stable. Oh, I can't run like you can't even play games because it can't get through shader comp. And it's just like, what? Like AMD screwed up with the SoC voltage guidelines, right? Early, when AM5 launched, everybody was like, yeah, 1.4 SoC is fine. Turns out it was not fine. And AMD within like, what, like, I don't know how long it was, but AMD went and said, yep, that's not fine. No more than 1.3 volts SoC voltage. The end. It's been a month, and Intel is still like, oh, we still haven't figured out what's wrong. And it's like, Did you like not measure the silicon when you were manufacturing it? How is this so hard? Shouldn't you have like extensive reliability test data? Like, you should know what happens to these CPUs when you apply X voltage to them for Y amount of time. Because they seem to be degrading mighty fast for people. Like, this isn't even like, oh, the chips are dying after like 3 years. They're dying in less than a year. They should have data on this. Got time for one more 8000 running on a 40 Asrock board? Sure, but don't super chat again. Also, no, don't add a /A. Like, I can deal with the link weirdness. If your link doesn't work, yeah. Also, you're bad at reading, by the way. It does says submissions are closed. But you know what? I'll give you a pass because I've gone completely off track. Better 1% lows for me with the 4090 than the 14700K. Really depends on the game. I think. What? No, I think the issue is that we're finally getting competition. Right? Because, like, Intel didn't have to worry about any of this when AMD literally, like, an FX 8350 would, like, struggle to compete with an i5. Right? Like, except there were certain workloads where an FX 8350 would do okay, but generally speaking, an i5 would just absolutely wreck an FX 8350. So Intel didn't have to go and like implement insane boost algorithms, right? And now we have an AMD that's like competitive, and I don't even think they're that competitive. Like, sure, if the 14900K had a max boost of 5.5 or 5.6 or 5.7, right? Sure, it would be even less, like, it'd be less competitive with a 7800X 3D, but it would still comfortably beat literally everything else AMD makes, except maybe the 7950X 3D. Oh, I missed the link. Give me a sec. Hey, this one worked. Yeah, so and my instructions aren't that bad. I don't know why they don't work for everybody, though. 7800X 3D, 8000. You know what? You get a pass for that. Yeah, if you're going to submit stuff like this, cool with me. Also, the nice thing about 2-to-1 mode on Ryzen is, like, your because the UCLK is so low, you can run really low SoC voltage. 8034 on a Steel Legend. You only ran this for an hour. That's yeah, that's some Gigabyte QVL stress testing quality right there, but sure. How new is the board? Because I've had a suspicion that Asrock has like updated their memory topology for AM5 quietly. Because like my live mixer is pretty early production and it kind of sucks at like high memory speeds. Even though it's like an 8-layer PCB. So it should be like similar to a Steel Legend. Reddit links of a Y-Cruncher run? No, it's fine. As for the timings, 3446, I'm surprised that you didn't like try to fine-tune the TRP some more. 4416, man. Oh, yeah, it is on a Steel Legend. Man. I keep thinking, I see 8000 and it's like, oh, it's a Gene. Nope, that's a Steel Legend. TRFC at 555, 65,000 refresh interval, WRSCL at 1. Oh, yeah, that is a thing that you can do. And it works. I have my theory on why this works is that the Ryzen memory controller, like, or the Infinity Fabric, or like the whole memory system on Ryzen is so bad at actually writing things to the memory that you can't do back-to-back write operations fast enough to actually use this timing. That's my theory on why you can do this, is because the memory controller literally never has so many, like, you'll have a queue of like things I need to write to memory and things I need to read from memory. And the write queue is never long enough to ever require using this timing, because you can always mix it in with some other, like you can always put the next write operation to a different bank. Yes, group. Bank group? I think bank group. Yeah, different bank group. And so you can run like write to write SCL at like 1, which if you tried to do that on Intel, like like I think translating from AMD to Intel, the RDRD SCL, this is like 16. And this is the equivalent of like 10 or 8, maybe, something like that. Yeah, I think this should be equivalent to 8 on Intel. And that just doesn't make sense, because if you actually tried to run that on Intel, it would just instantly crash. So, yeah, I have a sneaking suspicion that AMD just doesn't use this timing, either because there's not enough like write bandwidth on the like coming from the CPU, or the memory controller is just weird and it doesn't use that timing. Are Phi RDLs synced? I don't know. I can't see that. Probably though. Maybe, I don't know. I have an 8600G set up with 8400 CL4. No, that's the 40. That's pretty typical for an 8600G. That's not special. Now, if you told me you had like 8800 or something with like a Asrock HDV, sure. And you notice slower window snappiness on Ryzen versus Intel? I haven't dailied an Intel system in so long that I don't know. But like on the test benches, I haven't really noticed anything. Well, anyway, so until the stream got like mega off track, I do think this format works. I still feel kind of bad about the whole, like, because the super chats get priority basically means that it's only super chats. So I might be missing out on like people, like cool submissions that are like, you know, but like the people just like don't super chat. But the flip side to that is I'm also probably missing out on a bunch of submissions that are completely bland. So I don't know. Though I don't feel like requiring super chats is going to actually make the submissions better, but it reduces the probability of me one day just going like, "Oh, I'm not doing this anymore." Can do a predetermined amount ratio. Yeah, but how many submissions did I even get through today, though? Well, yeah, the thing is, like, here's the issue that I see. Like, on one hand, I do like money, okay? Because it lets me buy stuff that I don't need, like GTX 560 Ti 448s with blowers. My defense, it came with a GTX 470 PCB. Also, I actually came up with a really, which is a pretty weird PCB in terms of its design. So that's kind of neat. But also, what I didn't realize is when I took the blower off, it has an open fin stack. So it's another GPU that's even more convenient to do a little experiment that I want to do than a reference 980 Ti. Unfortunately, this isn't something I can do with like a Vega blower because the Vega blower fin stack is like closed fins. But yeah, for some reason, a lot of NVIDIA blower cards have open fins, which means you can just run a regular, like, axial fan on them. Is it axial? But the usual non-blower fans. And I really want to do an experiment of like, for the same noise level, do you get better cooling just shoving air into the front of the fin stack instead of using the blower? Because it's the same size heatsink, right? Because I firmly believe that the reason blower heatsinks suck so badly is because you're shoving the air through the fin stack through the smallest cross section of said fin stack. Like, you literally couldn't have like, in terms of getting as much air through that fin stack as possible, that is the worst angle to do it from. Because you're going to need very high airspeed, which means a lot of noise. And so, yeah, this is just a silly thing that I want to test, because I am convinced that like shoving air from the front into a blower fin stack that has open fins is literally more efficient than using the down blower heatsink from a noise perspective, probably even a temperature perspective. Man, what? Okay, I'm going to end this just because people really suck at reading. I mean, I guess I did blow this up, so I'm kind of asking for it. Your submission better be cool. Well, at least there's a lot of hardware info tabs, so there's no shortage of information, I guess. This is not cool. You can see it from a mile away, even when the text is small. This is just generic 6030, 38, 28. Why is your TRAS lower than... Oh, well, whatever. That's fine. It doesn't really matter, but... 4, 8, 20, 6, 16... Isn't this literally just my easy Hynix timings? This is literally just my easy Hynix timings. Oh yeah, for SDDD, you want to run these at 6.8. Yeah, like 6, 6, 8, 8. And that's the only things I would change. Anyway, that'll be the end. So yeah, I don't think I'm changing the format. Unless people complain, I'm not changing the format. Because I don't want to have to, like, think about, like, optimizing the ratio of, like, super chats to, like, free submissions. And, if this at least makes if this makes money, then I'm less likely to decide to stop doing it, which is beneficial to the people who want their memory timings rated, I guess, or reacted to. What do you mean typo 32, 35, 34? Where do you see 32, 35, 34? Set up PayPal for this? No, that'll make the coordination of it a massive pain. I mean, I can see how, like, removing the YouTube cut from it would be beneficial. But, like... Oh, I guess people can include messages with PayPal. You make plenty of information not behind a paywall. I don't have any information behind a paywall. Like, the stuff that's on Patreon is literally just the text, is like the notes that I use for videos. And I haven't posted anything to Patreon in ages because man. And we're going off track again, but yeah, like, I like testing things and measuring things and looking at PCBs. And then everything else involved in running a YouTube channel is like, why? Like, why do I need to check the audio levels? Why does the audio sometimes decide not to work? Or, like, Well, Heisey is just a... No, that's not a bug. That's a real setting. Unless you mean that it, like, sometimes reads that out instead of what the actual setting is. YouTube is just to support the hobby. You're ADHD. I actually finally looked into maybe getting checked out for that, and it's expensive, and it's like, okay, I'm not doing that. That's dumb. So I'm gonna have a piece of paper, like, it's like, here, evidence that you do have issues, and it's like, thanks. Like, I didn't know that before. And the worst part is like, I can't even... Yeah, like, I don't even think that I could, like, this is one of those things that I'd like to ask my parents for, like, you know, like, just, yeah, because in the UK, like, the waiting lists are just ridiculous. So it's just like, you know, if I actually want to get it done anytime soon, it's the only option is to pay for it. And it's like, and if I wanted to ask my parents for, like, financial support with that, they're going to say no. Because the whole reason I never got checked out earlier is because they already said no in the past. Because if I remember correctly, the school actually, yeah, like, the school definitely told them that I should have gotten, like, a evaluation or something. And my parents, well, one of my parents was like, nope, because then he'll have an excuse. So here we are. I am very non-functional. Because then he'll have an excuse for why he's non-functional instead of just being non-functional. That's just so much better. Anyway, yeah, so I think, I guess in the interest of this being a thing for more than, like, a day, I'm not gonna change this. As much as I don't like doing it this way, like, the other thing is like, if you need me to check your generic Hynix timings, then, like, I guess fair enough or something. I don't know. Anyway, yeah, I'll hit the stop button. What time is it? 11:34. Cool. Don't worry about it. Yeah, but I don't like... Don't tell me not to worry about things. That doesn't work. Maybe if these reacting to RAM timing streams are successful enough, I'll get a freaking, like, mental health checkup with the money from it. I won't. I'll probably, like, honestly, I'd sooner buy a 4090 than do that. So, but anyway, yeah. So big thank you for, I guess, all the super chats. I'm very sorry if I missed any, and I'll try to do this every weekend. Not necessarily always at the same time, because I think it would be kind of cool to hit different time zones. So then again, I don't know. Should I try? Well, okay, I'll try not streaming at 4 in the morning. Okay, I'll try that. As much as I like doing it that way. Anyway, that's it. So, thanks for watching, I guess, and goodbye.